the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Last week was ultimate drama for the Precision Racing League on Wednesday nights. On a late race restart at Charlotte, Dallas Sullivan was able to steal his first win in the Truck Series, and Thomas Sink ended up in the trees, and Abner Acosta was obliterated at the Monza Oval. Sean Campbell took control of the Xfinity Series Championship in the process, and if you thought things were about to get less dramatic this week, well, you're probably not going to get your wish. Welcome to Round 6 of 2023 for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, live from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway, and Round 6 of the PRL NASCAR Xfinity Series later, live from the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hi everybody, my name is Joey Tebben. With me in the booth, as always on Wednesday nights, it's Terry Radford. Behind the scenes is our producer, Arjuna Kankapati. Terry, it's Talladega, it's the trucks. There is a tradition that needs to be done. I have the random number generator over here. Let's see who it's going to spit out. Who's going to win at Talladega tonight? First one is 79. I don't believe we have a 79 in this series right now. 40, no. 26. Is Mike Witt still in this series? Is Mike Witt in the session? No. I can't do this for too long. 67, that's got to be a number, right? I'll keep doing this on the pace laps, Terry, but this is legitimate. It's basically random draw who's going to win tonight.
Tonight's going to be fun. I would say just the unpredictability of Talladega here tonight. Unpredictability in the Xfinity Series in Indy. That track has a lot of character, has a lot of looseness. The Xfinity cars are hard to drive. That track's hard to drive. Talladega is going to be fun. You got a lot of drivers in here that are ready to win. We could see a first-time winner here tonight like we normally see in the Cup Series or Xfinity and Truck. I think Patrick Calgo gets a win this evening.
I was randomizing the whole time Terry was talking. I finally got a number. It's the 15 of Robert Goff. That's who the random number generator says will win tonight. I think he was also chosen at iRacing Superspeedway last season. It didn't come true. Maybe tonight is the night, though, because this is the first of 2 Superspeedways this season as we enter into the second half of the year for the PRL NASCAR Series. Las Vegas coming up next week, then Rockingham for the trucks, the Ultimate Challenge, and then we start to sync up with the actual real-life NASCAR schedule with Daytona and Auto Club. Reese Bogue still leads the championship in the Truck Series by quite a few points, but Dallas Sullivan, with that win last week, he's been ever consistent. He finally got a win on the board. He's definitely going to be a championship contender in the second half of the season. Aren Gamushtal has been slightly less consistent, has missed out on some opportunities to pick up points, but he has had race-winning speed on basically every single weekend. Alan Dice came close, Steve Loving came close as well. In the team standings, Loaded Dice, after a 1-2 last week, they're easily on top of the standings over Regan Vogue Motorsports. But in the second half of this season, if Colton Easterday starts to turn things around, it's definitely going to be a two-way battle in the team's championship. But Love Racing sits third, Team DDI Motorsports in fourth, and the rest of the top 10 were back there. But before we get into qualifying, we must thank all the people who make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible. Of course, first and foremost, it's the VCO, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season and every season. This coverage is brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. This coverage is also brought to you in part by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and also get a 5% discount, also using the Precision5 coupon code. And then from Racebox, we slide over to RaceLab. It's RaceLab apps, and they help you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and surely put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And new for this season, still new for this season, it's Mecha Sim Hardware. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, handbrake, or sequential shifter, visit Mechasim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed and check them out. And last but not least, it is NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Terry, qualifying at Talladega currently underway. Still about 4 minutes to go. A lot of drivers kind of waiting until the end of the session, as you frequently see at these super speedways, but hello again. We're back here. What do you think is going to happen? You think the random number generator might be right? Is this a Robert Goff night?
No. There's strength in numbers here. You got to think, who's your buddy, who's your friend? You have friends up until the last couple laps here. I mean, this is far and strays away from a lot of type of racing we have. With this being the first season that we've seen timed events here in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, I'd kind of be surprised if the aggression level doesn't start early, because you saw it Monza last week. Whoever was leading the race had control. Whoever's leading this race here, if the cautions keep happening, well, time will be ticking.
A 40-minute race here at Talladega, then it'll be a 50-minute race at Indianapolis for the Xfinity Series. Like Terry said, it's new for this season, this timed racing. No green-white checkers, none of that. Once the clock ends, the race ends. Currently in qualifying, still a minute 30 left to go, so lots of times left to go up on the board. But who else but Steve Loving? He's a guy who we always circle when we come to these super speedways as a driver who could really get that first win done, who could really make a step forward. Right now, he's looking at his first pole, and as I say that, poor old Steve Loving dumped by 1,000th of a second. Richard Pruitt puts it on pole.
Well, Steve messaged me, and there's a reason I didn't pick him. Because, you know, coming into this show, I had my notes, and I was ready to pick the 27. And he said, I want to win tonight. Well, every time we pick anybody, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be the most dominant driver out here. They don't win. So I'm not picking the 27. I picked 31 instead. But this would be an awful good pick, too. But you also have to think here as well. They're going to try to shuffle that 4 RaceSpoTV out of the lead as much as possible. This isn't like what Abner Acosta did last year where he was able to get a win here. They're going to move this 4 out of the way. They're not going to let him come up here and lead this race. They're not going to let him pull the Dale Jr. or the Michael Waltrip here. They're going to make him sit there and have to earn a win. If he gets it done, he's going to find an unlikely friend somewhere mid-pack to push him up there and get it.
Lap 2 for RaceSpotTV, no improvement. Slower on the second lap, very interestingly. I think he may have used up all his speed on lap 1. There's about 10 seconds left in the session. Garrett Austin, he looks like he's going to get lap number 2 in. Can he improve in the dying seconds here? He brings it to the line. He improves quite a bit. A 56.126 put Garrett Austin on row 4.
That's a heck of a qualifying lap. I mean, lap 2, if you miss the mark by an inch here, that's a lot of time that's lost here at Talladega.
Qualifying has come to an end. Garrett Austin, last driver to set a qualifying lap, gets himself in the top 10, but it's all Richard Pruitt all the time at the front of the field. P1 for the first time in the PRL for Richard Pruitt, a driver making his debut in this series this season with a new sponsor, Melendez Online Consulting. He starts on pole for SGE Esports. Steve Loving barely misses pole by 1,000th of a second. Keith Miller misses pole by only 2,000th of a second. Jacob Emery misses pole by only 5,000th of a second. That is super speedway qualifying for you. Chris Justice and Joey Reynolds make up row 3. P7 went to Garrett Austin in the dying seconds. He starts alongside Dalton Geyer, who is much higher in the top 10. Jeremy Bailey starts alongside championship contender Haren Gamushtal. Last week's winner, Dallas Sullivan, disappointed with 11th probably, and RaceSpotTV, our championship leader, will be moving forward from 12th. Patrick Cowgill in unlucky 13th. Paul Crumry topped practice, only 14th in qualifying. Colton Easterday looking for his teammate RaceSpotTV. He wants to finally have a good result this season. He starts alongside Alan Dice. Dylan Schmidt, another driver who needs another good result this season. And Tom Amasi, hoping to avoid that bad luck and finally get a good result on a super speedway. Oliver Goff starts 19th alongside Mr. Thomas Brendel. Robert Goff, the random number generator's choice. Can he finally make good with that alongside Brian Hoskins? Cole Larson, 23rd. Kyle Strykars, 24th, not allowed to qualify after bringing out a caution at Charlotte last week. Ricky Barbary elected not to qualify. Austin Hunter elected not to qualify. Zach Panzarella elected not to qualify, and CM Pennington, back from the naughty step, still not allowed to qualify, but he'll be back in the race. 28 trucks here at Talladega, Terry. Lots of teammates, lots of alliances. There's SGE, there's DDI, there's Whataback, there's Regan Bogue, there's Love Racing, there's Loaded Dice. The list goes on. We're going to see all these guys find each other.
What an interesting set of cameras we have here. We have the butt end of the wheel. I kind of see partial face. Maybe they're paying attention here to us.
That's a Rengamouche stall. It's about 2 a.m. for him in France right now. Chris Justice on the top left, and a whole smattering of others. I imagine we'll see Austin Hunter as well later. Hopefully not disappointed after he gets taken out in the big one, but that tends to be when we see Austin Hunter.
Well, no, he said he's eating nuggets with Chick-fil-A sauce, in which my natural response is, why don't you just eat barbecue or like ketchup or something? Why is Chick-fil-A sauce so popular? My wife bought a bottle of it. I don't understand it. It's not that good.
Other fast food options are available, but personally, I'm a big fan. I enjoy it. It's just like honey mustard mixed with mayo and barbecue sauce, I think, and those are three pretty good things to mix together, I think.
Well, Colton Lane has an idea out here. Bets on Austin causing the big one.
Only his teammate can get away with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll take the under on it. I think Austin has a really good chance at getting the win here. I mean, he's starting in the back. At Talladega or Daytona, I would have said, you gotta qualify. You have to control your destiny. But at Talladega, we saw it last year. There was drivers who were starting like 30th that were up in the top 5 before we ever got to the backstretch. And for goodness sakes, if you swing that thing out 3 wide, 4 wide's a little bit aggressive, but 3 wide will work if people hold their lanes on that bottom and middle correctly. But 4 lanes down that back straightaway, you can do it. You just have to, not sway the truck.
Of course, it was Doug Evans who won at Talladega last season here, got his first and only win in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. You'll see Doug a little bit later tonight. He's moved up to the Xfinity Series with the rest of the gang there. But for now, we've got 28 more drivers. A lot of drivers still looking for their first wins. A few drivers trying to keep themselves in championship contention. And at the head of the field, it's a new driver to the PRL who's taking control of this superspeedway and taking control of the field. Kenny Rodriguez, one of the PRL organizers in the chat, endorses putting sriracha on anything. You can put some sriracha on this race because things are about to get pretty spicy. Richard Pruitt kicks us off from the head of the field. Steve Loving to his outside. We crawl through the Talladega Tri-Oval. Seemingly takes forever to get to the line. It's going to feel like even longer on the final lap, but Richard Pruitt leads us to green at Talladega. And we're wrecking on the green flag. Colton Easterday goes around. Oliver Goff involved as well. And the caution is out instantly at Talladega. That's for one of the, potentially the 5th week in a row, I think, that Colton Easterday has unfortunately been taken out on a restart. And he's going to be a very disappointed driver. Colton was talking before tonight that every single week he seems to be getting involved in accidents. He wants to turn it around this week. You can see him on cam down there. It's happened again.
That was the most perfect time to put somebody on camera. Obviously, we can't, repeat what his mouth said, but it sounded like fudge. It's what it looked like to me. I'm not too sure what the fans at home saw. That's pretty. That was good. That was good timing. But every time,
you
see the replay here. So let's see. Missed a shift. Oh, just missed it. Either that or downshifted. Sometimes when you go, you're in second when you automatically start. Oh, he went down to second. He had to go down to second.
Yeah, we just heard from him. He said his shifter registered 3rd gear is first, and it blew his engine.
Yeah.
Paul Crumry, nowhere to go. Oliver Goff, nowhere to go. Even when it's not his fault, even when it's no other driver's fault, Colton Easterday is just having one of those bad luck seasons where nothing can go right.
Yeah, for Crumry right there, that's a massive shot right there with the 85. Everybody else, it looks like Miss Crumry. Yeah, so everybody misses, but that's a tough opening. I mean, that's the product here, and that stinks to have a shifter issue. I mean, it's a malfunction that happens. Sometimes they register one way or the other, and That's a tough way to start. Not even the opening lap.
And because the caution came out so early, before half the field had come to the green, we're having one of those interesting cautions where the leader basically has to go catch the pace truck. Lots of drivers are going to get waved around here. Everybody will meet each other eventually to get back in order here, but that's what happens when the caution comes out so early. Everything just gets disorganized for a moment, and you have to imagine everybody's going to be getting disorganized in their own heads too, because it's such a stop-start kind of thing. A lot of drivers electing to come down pit road this time to go further to the back of the field. Dallas Sullivan and Alan Dice, the two loaded Dice teammates, they're coming into pit lane together. They're going to the back.
What's that old country song? I'll start walking your way, you start walking mine. We'll meet in the middle between the old Georgia pines. That's kind of what we're here. The deep south of Alabama. Smart decision for the drivers who came down pit road, even though the trouble most of the time happens further on in the back, like you saw with the restart right there, which, I mean, no fault of anybody's own. It's a malfunction that's going to happen. But you're going to see a lot of wrecks. If you can keep yourself within 5 seconds of the race lead, you have an opportunity to stay with that lead pack and not necessarily be up on the lead pack. And then when it's go time, with about 10 minutes to go, I would say it's go time, unless we see a bunch of cautions. String of yellows start to happen, then Joey, I want to be up front. I want to lead every single lap possible, and I just want the best pushers possible on my back bumper. When it's time to go, it's time to go.
Was Oliver Goff, not Robert Goff, who was involved in that caution, by the way. So the random number generator, it's still alive, but Oliver Goff currently sitting on pit road with about 50 seconds of damage, still getting some of that damage repaired. Paul Crumry has disconnected from the session. He's not going to get back out there, I don't think. Or he may have just gotten out of the truck. He may still be getting damage repaired. I'm not sure. Colton Easterday still going to try and get that engine fixed. I imagine he's going to be waiting for about a half hour to get all that damage repaired, but every point matters. This is not like the road series in the PRL where you have to complete 50 or 75% of the race to get points. Every position does pay points in the top 30. So if Colton Easterday gets out there with even 5 minutes to go, he might finish 26th instead of 28th, and that's 2 more points in the championship. That's a driver who's not going to give up.
We can take a look right here at the 52 machine. Chris Justice sitting 5th. Not a not the spot that I necessarily want to be in right here. You're kind of trapped. You're in a box at 5th. Sorry, I almost died there. I would be kind of surprised to see what Chris Justice does here on this restart, because he has a couple options. He can allow Jeremy Bailey to give him the shot to go 3 wide up the middle if the outside row of Keith Miller and Jacob Emery give him room. Or you could sit there patiently, maybe give a little tap up to the back bumper of Steve Loving, get him into the 24, try to separate yourself. So you see Jeremy Bailey right there. Maybe they're plotting a scheme on how they're going to go up the middle and take it 3 wide to take this lead. There's so many options and so many strategies you can play here at Talladega to make yourself either really good, or you can just play. You can play offense the entire time, or you can just play good defense. And good defense always wins championships.
Reese Bogue getting a little bit cheeky on the apron there, saving a little bit of fuel. And also at the back of the field, Cole Larson, Zach Panzarella, Dallas Sullivan, Alan Dice, Thomas Brendel, and Garrett Austin all coming down pit road again with 1 to green, just putting every last drop of fuel in the truck. I don't know the exact fuel mileage calculations, but say we do go green, we're not, until the end of the race. Those extra laps of fuel might be what makes the difference for the drivers who came down under this last lap of caution.
You know I love strategy. You would literally have to stay within a second to a second and a half to keep yourself in the draft range. Half throttle it. Crack it for the entire time, and you cannot switch drivers. Like, you can't have a line of 5 and then take the leader and put them to the back, because then you're going to slow too much time up. You're going to give about, a tenth and a half up. And then the driver who's leading that train is going to burn more fuel, and then, well, you're the fish out of water.
iRacing sedan pace car pulls off onto Talladega's pit road for the second time tonight, rather. The green flag awaits for the second time, and hopefully we can make it a little bit further than we did on the last restart. I don't think we actually made it to the line before the caution came out, so technically we've had negative green flag running tonight. But the green flag is back out. It's become a 33-minute race instead. Richard Pruitt's still in control of the field, and we're back green at Talladega. We made it past the line. We did it.
Looks like we made it. We left each other all the way to wherever love goes.
Keith Miller to the outside. He was one of the few drivers who managed to make a move in the milliseconds we had of green flag running at the start. He beat Steve Loving off the line, and right now, on the outside, Keith Miller's got the momentum. He's going for the lead already.
And 3 wide, and I'm very sad we didn't get a clap for the Barry Manilow reference out in the chat. I'm so sorry. But 3 wide always works great here. In the middle, believe that would be Emery. It's going to float the outside. Keith Miller jumps to the middle. No help at all. He's in the hole.
He had the momentum to go for it, and then he just died in the air. He had no help, but Steve Loving goes to the middle already. We're already seeing 3 wide action at Talladega here. It looks like there's a ton of space for that, but you have to imagine if you're anybody in the lead pack right now, going 3 by 3 by 3, you're pretty frightened right now as Steve Loving goes for the lead.
Oh, come on. This is good racing. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to come in here and put it all on the line. And Steve wants to win this race. I think if you're looking at anybody in this field, you're looking at him to be aggressive. I mean, why not be aggressive? You have not had the season you wanted to have. And you come to a place like Talladega where you literally control your destiny. You control what moves you make. You control who pushes you. You can sit here and play the draft, but there's a lot of swaying going on in the middle of that pack, son.
There's a whole lot of shaking going on, and I don't think I'm very happy with that. Jeremy Bailey was scaring us there. Steve Loving almost ends up in the wall. Or not Steve Loving, rather Patrick Cowgill got really out of shape, almost ended up in the wall. He's going to the back of the train. Some drivers are getting a little bit out of shape here. They're scaring us.
Yeah, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. I mean, they're gonna do this. You see that a little bit of an apron shot right there. You're carrying so much momentum in turn 1. You're full throttle the entire time. You're looking up there on the second row, or up there at, that's not Patrick Cowgill. That's Jeremy Bailey.
Jeremy Bailey, our resident Marshall Pruitt impersonator.
Yeah, he's down there. Nice gloves. I believe he served with the beautiful gloves he has on. But look at that. Oh, hang on to her. That ain't working.
Aren Gamushtal down on the apron. Jeremy Bailey saves it, but Aren Gamushtal erases himself from existence. He's out of the pack. Jeremy Bailey almost gets turned, and the lead pack has been separated by Gamushtal trying to go for a move on the apron.
I don't think he was attempting to go for that move. I think he got a bad push. I think when he took that push, these trucks are very hard to actually lock bumpers and to give a shove. They're not like the Xfinity car. You can go take the B car and you can just toss that thing around this whole track like a salad. You go all the way around here and do anything you want to do. But in these trucks, you have to be real soft with it. You have to go up and just give it just a little bit of an air bubble push. You take a look right here. Bam, bam, bam. All this checkup. He tries to go down there. Nobody lets him in, and then bam. Around the 21 goes, but look at the save. That's what people need to do.
Richard Pruitt was the one who got the bad push from Chris Justice there. Then Gamushtal pulls out a line. Jeremy Bailey, unfortunately, the odd one out there. Gamushtal goes for a Talladega drift. I imagine the drivers behind him are very happy he didn't slide up anymore. We're still green, but the pack has been decimated a little bit. It's now 10 drivers in this lead pack as Reese Bogue leads that secondary pack, trying to make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, all of those drivers right here are going to come up here and make that a little bit. 15 all the way back there. The 520s in there. Ricky Barbery's leading that pack, and then you got CM Pennington right there in 16th that's attempting to make the move to catch all the way back up with Austin Hunter in 17th. That group, if they get the top 15-ish right here that just got in this pack, they get them racing. You'll see them start to maneuver their way up there for 3.1 seconds as it's starting to close. They're catching a little sniff at the draft from the 44 machine. But there we go, side-by-side racing up here in the front. Oh, block right there, 24.
Terry, I got a question for you about the top 10 in this race at the moment. You know how many total wins in the PRL are in this top 10 right now?
0.
1, and it's Kyle Strykar's, and it wasn't in this series at all. It was in the F3 series. There's one singular win in PRL action. There's 0 wins on the NASCAR side in the top 10 right now. Kyle Strykar's holding up the fray, and it's an F3 win. That means nothing right now.
Yeah, I thought you were talking trucks. There's 0 in this top 10. I said that somebody's going to get their first truck win here tonight. There's an opportunity for it right now in this top 10. Reese Bogue sitting there in 11. I still think that this is the strategy you have to have with that Ford. As much as the Ford machine would love a win. He's got his work cut out for him. There's a lot of drivers in this field that don't want that 4 to win. They don't want the RaceSpoke Motorsports driver to go up there and put another win out there on them. They want their time in the sun. They want to come talk to you and me and all of our happy friends here at RaceSpot. They don't want the 4 back up here, but he's going to find an unlikely friend here in a little bit. It's going to be either Robert Goff or Ryan Hoskins that's just going to sail with him and get to the front.
Yeah, after Kyle Strykars, you go down to RaceSpoke, of course, who won his first couple of PRL races this season. Then you have to go down to Austin Hunter, who has a win in the Cup Series and a win in the Truck Series. Both, I believe he said, were on super speedways. Other than that, this is wide open. It's very, very likely that we'll see a first-time winner here tonight. Could it be Oliver Goff? Could it be Keith Miller, who's been in absolute control of this field? Nobody's been able to break him from the lead ever since he got up there. Steve Loving's been doing the pushing. He's been riding in line. Joey Reynolds can't build up the momentum on the outside. Keith Miller seems very, very comfortable leading this pack.
We have to look at what that outside to do it. We have a great shot right here. There's organization, but there's strength in numbers on that bottom. You know, there might be 4 against 4, but the outside lane has to be a whole lot tighter. You have to stay right there, and it should be in sequence pushes. It should be like an accordion. Every single time you take a push, it's like the law of physics or whatever that Newton dude said, that every reaction has an opposite and equal reaction. Well, as soon as you see that outside right here pushing, you see the 37 all the way up there at Joey Reynolds getting that shot. Well, the 52 needs to be right there. The third man, the third driver in any car is the most important driver in the draft when it comes to these speedways. Lap traffic plays a factor as we go 3 wide there for just a split second. But that third truck has to stay tight because once the 31 of Patrick Calgill gets up there and tightens that bottom lane up, they're going to be unstoppable.
That was Robert Goff, who they got by on the bottom. They may have a little bit more company. That was Jeremy Bailey in the foreground there coming out of the pits. He's gotten some damage repaired, and he may be a factor. He may still be on the apron, though, exiting pit lane by the time the field catches him. Yep, there he is. He's gone. No worries with Jeremy Bailey, and no worries with really any lap traffic for quite a long time. Zach Panzarella is next up the road, and he's about 30 seconds up the road, half a lap up the road. So it's going to be clean sailing for now. But it hasn't been clean sailing in this lead pack for the whole of these 15 minutes.
We're not going to broadcast a curse here. Can't rod 69. That's not happening tonight. We got 25 minutes of green flag racing, I hope. But the top is starting to settle up there on that outside lane. You're starting to see a little bit more, a little bit more strict spot here. You see the battle for 21st back here pushing each other along. That's very far back strategically to be with the 21 who just came back down off. He's a long way back. Him and Zach Panzarella, they need a caution, and they need a caution like now.
I'm glad he's found a buddy, at least. It gets lonely back there in a super speedway race when you lose the draft, but Gamushtal and Panzarella, at least they've got each other to lean on. They can at least see some company back there. They're not going to catch the pack, but they're not alone. They're not going to turn hard right into the wall and give up just yet.
I don't know how to follow that one, but I like the lean on me reference. At least you find a friend somewhere. But listen to the boy, those cars coming through here. I mean, these trucks, they have a different feel about them, especially on a super speedway. As much as people think that this type of racing doesn't take skill, it does. I mean, I'm not saying that because I win a lot here in the trucks and these Xfinity cars, but you look at the push right here. Can't really push. Can't get up on the bumper. You have to line it up if you do give it a shot. And it's just an air push all the way through the corner. You have to stay somewhat sealed up to the back bumper. You have to control your temps here. And then you also have to make sure you listen to your spotter. It's hard for a lot of people, especially me because I'm deaf. Oh, don't push there.
Whoa. That was Steve Loving into the back of Keith Miller. The camera always gives us a little bit of an illusion there, but that was quite an aggressive push by Steve Loving. And in the process, he finds himself on the top with Joey Reynolds. Steve Loving, maybe inadvertently, he's taking control of the top line, and he wants the lead back.
He's looking at the replay from high above. If you're making a push, that's the push you do. That's right there on the right quarter panel. You make that push right there at the wrong time, and somebody's not expecting that push, somebody's looking in their mirror, you're wrecking, and you're going to wreck the whole field at that moment. But wise move down there for Joey Reynolds, or Keith Miller. He pushed down to the bottom. Can't get his lead back. Massive push from that 37 in that high lane. The 37 might be the person that pushes somebody to a win here tonight.
The Keith Miller Armada, or the Keith Miller reign, is over for the moment. But how good is Keith Miller on the pushing? He's probably not too happy with Steve Loving right now. Got a little bit scared there from that last push, but he's going to have to try and repay the favor. Doesn't do so into 3, though. Stays a little bit back. Doesn't go for the bumper. Just gives him a little bit of air. And in the process, though, Dalton Geyer is clear of Joey Reynolds. The top 4 have cleared the top line.
Yeah, but not for too long. I mean, you see a little bit of sway on the bottom. I don't think the outside lane might be the way to win. You know, I know this sounds crazy, but think about this for a second. You have the ultimate control on that outside lane. You can go down, you can side draft, really change the dynamic of it. And if you're the second or third truck in line, I say you're the most important for a reason, because that lead truck does not have to side draft as much. While, yes, it would be perfect, but you check up that whole line if the lead truck does it. That second, third car can come in there, side draft real quick, and allow that driver to pull the other one back. I don't know. Maybe somebody's listening and they'll be like, maybe the third truck will be the one that side drafts here this evening. And maybe that'll be the driver that goes to victory lane.
Riding on board again with Reese Bogue. That's a very popular camera tonight because he has just been biding his time behind this pack. He has a perfect view of all the shenanigans going on ahead. His buddy Tom Amasi has left him some clean air there on the bottom. Reese Bogue might be sitting in unlucky 13th right now, but our championship leader is very, very calculated right now. He's just riding. He knows there's still 21 minutes left of racing to go here. There's probably no point in moving forward at all.
It is not go time until 10 minutes left. More than likely, you could complete most of the laps. We're slated for 46. We're already at 18, going on 19 here. You know, you set yourself up in one of these races to think, you know what, we're not going to go green for very long. And if we do get spread out, we do get separated a little bit, we probably will. So right now, strategically, I'm sure somebody's in his ear saying, hey, don't push it. Don't put yourself in the hornet's nest up here. Don't get too aggressive. Aggressive gets wrecked 99% of the time. Patient gets wrecked maybe 10, 20% of the time. But 99% of the time, you get overly aggressive. You're going in an infield somewhere.
83 degrees at Talladega right now. That's a pretty cool day by Talladega standards. I know there's been some absolute swelterers, if that's a word, in the past, but it's Christmas Eve virtual standard time. It's the 24th of December, so at least we've got a nice cool 83 degrees instead of absolutely baking these drivers as we normally do in the summer Talladega races.
Well, I don't know where the ambient temperature came from. I think on Christmas Eve it was like tornado weather in Alabama. And I mean, I still got family down there in Jemison. I understand, but yeah, it's hotter than mess down there. Regardless, we go. It was 75, 76 degrees here. It was just 30 4 days ago. I'm kind of sick of this Mother Nature thing.
Joey Reynolds has gotten sick of the top line, I think. He's been swallowed up, whether it was a deliberate choice or not. He's back on the bottom. He's not going around the outside, around the outside, around the outside anymore. He's going to build up the bottom line again. The top line is dead. There's 3 drivers up there. There's Austin Hunter and 2 other buddies, and they're going backwards.
Find a hole and get in. I think it's what everybody's wanting to do. This is going to go back, I don't know, 2005 Talladega, ring a bell, but they were on the outside where Vickers wrecked Johnson and Jr. Still one of the most unpopular things. But you ride that bottom as much as possible. Is there damage on the lead truck's front nose? Or is that just my imagination running away with me?
Good. I'm glad you went there too. I was about to do the Temptations as well, but I think you are imagining that. Tonight, Steve Loving does not have any damage on the nose. I think he's okay, but he might, because remember, that was the little incident with Keith Miller, I think. So he might have a little bit, but I don't see it.
I'm talking Chris Justice, the 52 out there on the outside. Is there front nose damage there? That front splitter looks a little up.
Maybe. Let's get a intrepid zoom here. Maybe.
At the back of somebody.
Maybe.
There's hood damage. I knew I saw it. I knew I wasn't. I mean, I'm crazy. I was that crazy.
Strategy is starting to kick off here, too, as well. Dallas Sullivan, Alan Dice, and Thomas Brendel just brought it down pit lane under green. Even with their stops under caution, they've realized they can't make it to the end. They've gone for their stop. They're going to be good to the end. My question is, for all these guys in the lead, when do they come down?
Probably in the next... if we go in minutes, 5 minutes.
I'm setting my timer.
I mean, I would come down probably about lap 27, 28-ish. Kind of split this race dead down the middle.
So while we've got a few minutes until we do get to that 5-minute mark, we're going to do a little bit of PRL here. It's been a while since we've done this, but it's a super speedway. It's the perfect time to do it. It is PRL playing Race Cars Loud. Steve Loving controls the field. Let's do some PRL. Caution is out at Talladega. As soon as we start doing our PRL, we play Race Cars Loud. Zach Panzarella has gotten into the wall. He was on his own with the Ren Gamushtal. They were a little two-truck tandem. Has Gamushtal come to blows with another truck again as Panzarella been turned around? He actually did find a few more buddies. Those are the drivers who pitted. Sullivan, Dice, and Brendel, and a few others. And Panzarella finds himself in the middle, and it was Gamushtal who was involved as well.
Call on a lap car. You start checking up about here, or you get the lap car to move. Oh, the 22 just got squirrely there. And then him and Gamustal made contact, and then a little smaller contact there in the back. But that was a big win for these drivers here. Good thing for Panzarella. He didn't get a whole lot of damage either. He's still salvageable on the draft.
Problem is Zach Panzarella's gone a lap down, so he should... No, he won't get the lucky dog because he was involved in the caution. Jeremy Bailey as well got the little bite out of the back of Panzarella that you saw, so he might not get the lucky dog either. Oliver Goff, who was that lap truck, he might end up being the lucky dog. He might get one of his 2 laps back, so Oliver Goff may have just run into some very good luck. I did just see Zach Panzarella waved around the pace car, though, so he might not even need the lucky dog. He might still be on the lead lap anyway, so that's a little bit of a mystery here. But this is perfect for all these drivers in the lead. They don't need to do a green flag pit stop. They don't need to figure out all that. They can come down pit road under caution here, and they'll be perfectly good on fuel till the end. But it becomes a race onto pit road here. Steve Loving at the lead. Kyle Strykars stays out.
Interesting on that one.
Interesting.
I am curious, though. Maybe the last one of the old drivers. Was my strategy correct to come down? Lap 28 would have been like the perfect one if it was green.
Easy win off pit road for Steve Loving, Keith Miller, Patrick Cowgill. Patrick Cowgill actually a pretty big mover. I wonder, did he not take tires? He was in the box for 6.6 seconds. Loving was in the box for 8.6. That's a very small difference. I don't think anybody took tires.
No, you don't take tires here. Come down here and slap that sucker full of fuel and let it hang out. Tires mean nothing here. Daytona, yes. Talladega, I'll go 100% race here with no tires at all. I mean, if I had a choice, obviously sometimes you get cautions, you take tires if you want to sit in the back, but heck no. Any official race I run, and I'll tell you this to all 67 people watching, you see me in an official race, don't ask me my strategy. My strategy's simple. Slap it full of fuel, no tires, and let's go. Or take some tape off, just depends on if I'm in a good mood.
A few drivers have taken tires, though. They've elected to basically put themselves at the back of the field in the process of doing so. Dalton Geyer, Richard Pruitt, Ricky Barbary, Austin Hunter, Dylan Schmidt, and Brian Hoskins. They were all the drivers who took tires under that last stop. Terry's exactly right. It's not going to give them much of an advantage, but I have a feeling that a lot of these drivers are still thinking, when we restart, there's still going to be about 10 minutes to go. I don't necessarily want to be up front just yet.
Well, it does give you a little bit of an advantage. I will say that. There's moves that you can make on 4 fresh tires that you're not necessarily going to make if you're Dallas Sullivan or Alan Dice or one of those drivers that don't have new tires, right? You can easily drive it from the 4th lane all the way down to the line without getting loose. You don't get as loose off the exit of 4 or the exit of 2 when you catch that bump coming out of that corner. There's a couple things that happen. You could also take a little bit more of a push. It doesn't jack the back end up, doesn't make the truck unstable, doesn't make you feel like you're sitting in a cardboard box going down a hill when it's icy. There's a lot of stuff that's going to change, but after about 5, 6, 7 laps, it's not going to matter. Everybody's going to be on the same equal playing field. The fuel's going to burn just the same, and it's going to make the back end lighter. It's going to make you feel like you're just completely out of control while you're in control, if that makes any sense to you at all.
I think it makes sense, and we've got a little bit of a lasagna of strategy up front here, because Kyle Strykars, he's our top layer. He's the only driver who didn't pit under that last caution. He stayed out. He's definitely hoping for some more yellow before the end of the race to save the fuel he needs to. He's taking the risk. He leads. Then you've got Dallas Sullivan, Alan Dice, and Thomas Brendel, 3rd, 2nd, and 4th. I don't know why I did them in that order, but they pitted a few laps ago under green before the caution came out. They've cycled to the front of the field. Everybody else behind came in under that last caution. Tire life not going to come into it. Everybody but Kyle Strykar is definitely good on fuel until the end. But there are multiple layers of strategy, and there's 3 new drivers for Loaded Dice Racing back up front who have not been up here in the first 30 minutes of this race.
Well, I'll tell you, I do love lasagna. But if you're Kyle Strykar, what you're thinking at this moment is cautions breed cautions. If you're him in that 07, you're really hoping that on the restart you have an incident like what took place earlier. You're hoping somebody spins those tires on the outside to cause that caution. We're running 2.5-minute caution times. So I'm not good at math. Joey, do the math.
If we get a caution on the restart here, we will get a green flag run to the end, but it's a 3-lap caution because it's a quickie caution at Talladega. You got 1-lap caution, then 2 to green, then 1 to green. That's 7 minutes 30. So basically, don't get a caution in the last 7 minutes 30 or else you're dead out of luck. Or if your Kyle Strykars do get a caution in the last 7 minutes 30, then you'll be a very happy boy. But the iRacing Sedan Pace Car, for the 2nd time tonight, pulls off onto pit road for the 3rd time tonight, actually. And it's a new driver at the head of the field. It's a driver who has rolled the dice ahead of all the Loaded Dice Racing teammates. Kyle Strykars for Whataback, 1 win in the PRL in the F3 Series. Could he make it 2 with 1 in the Truck Series? The green flag awaits him at Talladega, and the green 07 takes control of the field. Alan Dice moves up to the top line. No surprise there. His 2 teammates, Sullivan and Brendel, are up there. It's Loaded Dice Racing 1 and 2 on the top, and they've been split up because Thomas Brendel split in the middle.
It's the flaming hot Cheeto way, I'm telling you. That Cheetos machine's ready to set fire to the lead. It ain't going to work, though, because Alan Dice is there. And then Steve Levin, he's back there. Levin has an opportunity here. Be aggressive. Be like the cheerleaders from the Dallas Cowboys. Be aggressive. Be aggressive if you're going to win the last 8:47 of this race.
Dallas Sullivan has just been absolutely forgotten. He's going to be asking his teammates, "Why have you forgotten about me? You're leaving me in the dust." They have forgotten about him. He's falling and falling and falling on his lonesome in the 3rd line there. Chris Justice and Tom Amasi underneath him, causing a little bit of trouble. Dallas Sullivan is just desperately hoping that a hole opens for him.
There's going to be an unhappy team conversation at the end of this one because, he got hung out there like a wet shirt on a clothesline. And now you got the 22 and the 5 up top. The 46 is trying to find that hole right there, but it's not going to work. You have to make that move a whole lot quicker. You have a split-second reaction here. If you're the 27 or the 31, now is your chance. You have the middle lane open. Go take it. Use it to your advantage. I know the 37's willing to go and work with you. You got 7:50 to go. If the caution comes out in the next 10 seconds, this race is over.
Dallas Sullivan's still the only driver making it 3 wide up on the top, but I'm surprised that he hasn't lost as much ground as he had. He's been using the side draft to his advantage. He's not moving forward. He's not going to be moving forward anytime soon, but it's not like he's fallen all the way to the back of the pack, and he's got some buddies up there now with Chris Justice and Dylan Schmidt.
Everybody's your friend at this moment, Joey. You could have your the person who hates you the most on iRacing, or the person that hates you the most in this world at Talladega going for the win with 7 minutes to go in a race, or 3 laps to go. I promise you that person is going to be like, hey, Joey, you're my best friend. I'm going to push you up here, and then I'm going to ditch you like my prom date did me. You got a chance. And right now you got to find a dance partner. We're about to go 3 wide, and they're coming to that lead.
The top line has built up. Keith Miller pulls to the outside. Aren Gamushtal is still out there as well. Miller, though, ducks back down. Justice follows him. Emery follows him. They haven't been able to build anything up in that third line. Alan Dice and Thomas Brendel get to live another day not being sandwiched 3 wide. But it's crunch time. There's 6 minutes to go. There are only a few more laps to go. If you're going to move your way to the front, you've got to start doing it now.
If you're somebody in the second and third row, start pulling yourself back just a little bit. Take the reins and just dial it back about 10-ish%. Don't get right on the back bumper of the driver in front of you if you're trying to make the slingshot move. You have to set yourself up for the run, take that accordion, and just pull it back just a tad bit. If your teammates, and you know there's teammates in front of you, come off the back bumper of them. Don't get 5-6 inches away. Get about a half a foot to a foot away, and then get the run. Outside you go, get a big shot. And if you're the 27, right now is your chance. You got the 5 clear for just a second.
Steve Loving going to go for it. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and finally it's a no. He stays in line behind Kyle Strykars. He must know something we don't. He's very comfortable with Strykars. Maybe he thinks that Kyle can actually make it to the end on fuel. That's still a question. He's been out on track for 31 laps now. I don't know if Kyle Strykars can make it to the end on fuel, and if he can't, that's going to be some trouble for the entirety of the pack behind him when he eventually has to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird-ish pit lane to get on because you're stopping on such old tires. That's the one play. Oh, there it is.
There is the caution. That is exactly what Kyle Strykars wanted. The medium-sized one at Talladega. Jeremy Bailey, Robert Goff, and that will most likely end this race. Big trouble at the back of the field. Kyle Strykars took the risk staying out, but let's see what happened to the back. It was Jeremy Bailey and Robert Goff, about 8 rows back. Is anybody else involved with him? Was CM Pennington, Gamushtal potentially? Let's see. Oh,
that's just a bad push. And he's trying to get a run built up. Ouch. Hey, yeah, the 07. He played the strategy right.
That was Gamushtal who got actually it wasn't Gamushtal who got collected. It was Zach Panzarella actually, who got waved back onto the lead lap. He was the driver who got the bad push, and remember, Panzarella had heavy damage. He was back on the lead lap, but he had heavy damage. I don't think Jeremy Bailey was expecting him to be that slow.
Yeah, I think that the checkup right there was just a little bit of, hey, I gave a push I didn't want to give, and then you back up instantly, which is why I always say don't push in the trucks. If you get somebody loose, you get somebody squirrely here in these trucks, it's going to create that checkup effect, and you're going to do it all the way back. And the back feels it a whole lot worse than the front. You could check up from second on back. Third really doesn't feel it too much. It's kind of quarter throttle as it is. People are a little further on back, a little bit more full throttle. They're a little bit right on the bumper. They're trying to make something happen from about 10th, 15th on back. But yeah, that it stinks for the rest of the field, but not too bad for the 07.
So how about this? Disallowed from qualifying after bringing a caution out last week. At Talladega, that's probably one of the best places that could happen. Takes the risk, doesn't come down pit lane, takes the lead of the race hoping that the cautions come out, and the cautions have come Kyle Strykars' way. The only driver in the top 10 right now with a single win in the PRL, and that's the guy who ends up on top. Sometimes it just all goes your way.
I know this might be a kind of an ignorant thing to say. What if he doesn't have enough fuel to make it around for the checkered flag? Because
I think Steve Loving's a nice enough guy that he'd push him around.
There's none of that in the PRL. The rule book states you cannot push.
Is that true?
He would lose his position. So could we see a Juan Pablo Montoya or Marcus Ambrose situation in the PRL? I mean, he's going to have to ride the apron at some point if fuel becomes an issue. He's got a couple laps.
I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. I think he's taken this risk knowing that this was a possibility. He's got to have enough fuel in the tank. If he's not even on the apron, he's got to know he's good to the end.
I'm just trying to create a little something here for the fans. Work with me, Joey.
I got good news, though. Oliver Goff has gotten the lucky dog. Let's go. He's only one lap down now.
I was really hoping that we would have got the one to go there. But this is create a little drama in here. Maybe the leader doesn't have enough fuel.
I just got an idea in my head, Terry. If we do get one to go here, if we cross the line with about 53 seconds left to go, I think iRacing will think that it's going to be 2 laps to go because they don't count caution speed laps. Your timer goes by a racing speed lap, which is about 52 seconds. So if we do get to the line with about a minute to go, and if we do get one to go at that line, we might get 1 lap of a restart here. But I think the pace speed is so slow, we're not going to make it to the line in time.
Yeah. Time keeps on ticking into the future.
Into the future.
Yeah. I was really hoping myself, because we're at 56 right at the moment. So they'll come to the line probably about 40-ish. Man. Kind of hoping we'd at least get a 1-lap shootout. I think that would have been pretty funny.
Talking Heads once said they love the passing of time. Right now, I don't love the passing of time. I wish it was a little bit slower. This is not the place. This must be the place right now. We're going to take the white flag here. Kyle Strykars is going to take the white flag at a far slower speed than he would have liked, but it's basically a victory lap for him right now. 2.66 miles here at Talladega. Slower than he's ever driven it, but he might be able to do it hands-free. He can do some funky stuff here.
Still throwing the possibility out there. Fuel could, in fact, be said issue.
The lights are out on the pace car, but we have gotten the white flag officially. This is the final lap. There will not be a funky restart, as sometimes there is. We might actually get the pace car pulling off onto pit road, and you get a green flag run to the line, but nobody's going to be able to pass there. Nothing's going to change. The order is set as it is. I got a good story, though, for Tom Amasi, top 10. Of course, he's probably going to be disappointed that he couldn't go for the win again at a super speedway, but he didn't get taken out for once. He's actually finishing the race in the top 10, and that's 2 top 10s 2 weeks in a row for Tom Amasi.
That is. Yeah, we talked to him last week. It was pretty cool to get a Tom Amasi interview in. Alan Dice in third. That's a good story there. Chris Justice, Richard Pruitt.
And Reese Bogue, being conservative, he finished P17. He waited too long to get moving. He never got going. And your championship leader is coming out of this with a 17th place finish. Luckily for him, his championship rivals Dallas Sullivan and Aren Gamushtal finished 23rd and 25th. But the likes of Alan Dice, Steve Loving, Patrick Cowgill, they're getting some big points tonight.
Yeah, normally aggression gets wrecked, but you know, this is the consequence in plate racing, right? Or super speedway racing, they call it now, is you don't know what strategy works. Like, it never fails. You have different types of racing that you're going to see. You're either going to see somebody conservative, like what Denny Hamlin normally does, or you're going to see aggressive, like Dale Jr. when he led the pack around here quite a bit. Both strategies have their pros and cons, and for Kyle Strykar, well, it's good strategy with, well, let's just stay out and hope for a wreck.
Kyle Strykar's one and only win in the PRL came in 2020, Season 4 in the Indy Pro 2000 Elite Series, almost 3 years later in a very different series, but with the same team, I believe, SRT Esport. Kyle Strykar's is finally going to get it done again. With Whataback and SRT, Kyle Strykar's crawls to the line with the smallest amount of fuel possible. Kyle Strykar's wins again in the PRL.
Wonder if he's got enough for a burnout.
I mean, I think his fuel tank may have burned out. Hey, he's got plenty. He's got plenty. Look at him go.
It's a rolling. Yeah. Give a little gas.
Might need a little bit of help from his teammate Patrick Cowgill. Might need to give him a little bit of a push or a little bit of a turn, but it looks okay for Kyle Strykar's. And this makes me think that even if we did go green to the end, he might have been okay. I'm thinking about that. He might have known something that we didn't.
Maybe he sit back here and saved quite a bit in the draft. Just kind of feathered it, went quarter throttle all the way through it.
Kyle Strykar's his first season on the NASCAR side in the PRL after doing so many seasons on the road side, in the open wheel series, in GT3s, and all of that stuff. He said, you know what? This season I'm going to try something new. I'm going to bring SRT over to Whataback. We're going to merge our two teams together with Austin Hunter, William Hartman, Patrick Cowgill, and their Kevin McGarvey. And they've been doing some good work this season. Kevin McGarvey's been fast. Austin Hunter's had his flashes of speed. Hartman's had multiple wins. And Kyle Strykar's gets to burn a little bit over the line.
Maybe he will. Yeah. Oh, he's back.
Steve Loving's taking a little bit of the credit for the burnouts there. Austin Hunter is doing a little bit of work behind him. As frequently happens when we have these late race cautions and these yellow flag finishes, Kyle Strykar's has technically been disallowed from the win for passing the pace car, but that's not going to stand. Don't worry. When we show you the results in a few moments, Kyle Strykar's isn't going to be the leader, but he's going to win the race. That will be reinstated once Charles Sumner goes in and fixes the spreadsheet. Kyle Strykar's is officially your winner tonight. As his teammates burn it down behind him, we can take a look at the rest of the finishing results. So actually, we can't look at the finishing results officially. These are not official. This is everybody down from Kyle Strykar's. Alan Dice finished second. He will not be credited with a win. Patrick Cowgill finished third. Just add one to everybody's finishing result here. Thomas Brendel, his best race in the PRL, P4 for Loaded Dice Racing. Joey Reynolds, Keith Miller, Tom Amasi, Chris Justice, Richard Pruitt, Jacob Emery, and that rounds out the top 10. Garrett Austin, after that late qualifying run, he finishes P11. Dylan Schmidt, 12th, and your championship leader, Reese Bogue, 12th place, potentially, or 17th place. It depends on what everything shakes out. Not a good race for our championship leader. Brian Hoskins, Austin Hunter, Dalton Geyer, Ricky Barbary, Zach Panzarella, CM Punk Pennington, Dallas Sullivan, and Jeremy Bailey bring us down to 21st. 22nd went to Cole Larson. Kyle Strykar's won the race. Steve Loving finished second. So them two, they actually need to be moved up. So add two to everybody's finishing position ahead of them. It's a complicated process. It'll all be fixed after. Gamushtal, Goff, 1 lap down each. Second Goff, Robert Goff, 3 laps down, and then we get into the used car lot. Paul Crumry and Colton Easterday, technical issues already got them out of the race after lap 1, after the initial start, but we are ready to go here. Kyle Strykar's your race winner. Kyle, first win since 2020 in a very, very different series. Talk us through that strategy at the end of the race that won you this thing.
Well, I mean, I was talking to my teammate Patrick, and, that caution came out, and they're like, oh, we're going to pit. And, I just had, that kind of feeling, just kind of looking at the clock. I mean, these races are weird because it's not based on laps, right? So it's time. So I knew the cautions take, a couple, 5-10 minutes. So just kind of planning that out and hoping for a caution to come out to save fuel towards the end. I mean, there was a situation in my head where, I was going to run out with 2 laps to go if it stayed green, but luckily all the chips fell in place, and it resulted in my first win, like you said, in a very different car than what I'm used to in the PRL.
Yeah, it was the Indy Pro 2000 series where that last win was. I don't actually remember what track it was. I should probably check that, but we've got 3 more weeks coming up here. A super speedway, a couple more big tracks at Auto Club. Where's your best shot at doing this again?
Definitely the super speedways definitely suit my needs. Again, I'm a road guy. Been a rough season for me. I mean, last week with kind of the self crash and then needing to start from the end today and somehow managed to bring it up front. I was super excited for motorsport, but I had some hardware issues. My pedals died, so I needed to get a new set. So I missed that race. So it's really nice to kind of get a win here at Talladega. And the super speedways, I always run good here. Even in the officials, I run pretty good on the super speedways. So those the big tracks. I'm ready for it. But the big thing here is help my teammate Patrick Cowgill try and get a championship.
Congrats on finally returning to victory lane tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Kyle Strykars, your victor at Talladega, just ahead of Mr. Steve Loving, unfortunately, just short. He's with Terry Radford.
Man, Steve, you were that close to a win. What made you not step out of line there?
Oh, it was so close. I was waiting for the right time. I was looking, I saw about 4.5 minutes to go, and I was trying to push the low car just enough to where you'd build a back off. I was waiting for the right time on the high line. And the best time to make the move is going into the tri-oval so you can clear them before one. If you do it on the back straightaway, you usually get hung out to dry. So that lap where the caution was thrown, that was the lap I was actually going to make the move. And as soon as the caution came out, I was like, that's going to be game over.
What's a good opportunity down the road to potentially go get a win?
That's a great question. I think I need to look at the schedule and figure that one out. Aside from that, and kind of hoping for the best, I don't know. I was really excited. I came into this race tonight thinking a little bit more on the aggressive side. So I'm gonna pull out all the stops and push for it. And I gave it my best. If it was stayed green, it would have been close. I don't know. It could have been anyone's game, of course. Who knows who would have pulled it off? But it would have been much more enjoyable. We could have finished under green rather than the caution flag end.
Well, I appreciate your time. Congrats on P2.
Yeah, well, real quick, I do want to thank my teammates that was working with Keith Miller at the beginning. He did a great job. We switched it up a little bit for fuel mileage. Worked together, enjoyed it. Also, Tom and Mossy, both of them from Love Racing. And I also want to thank PRL, you guys, with RaceSpot, VCO, Advanced Sim Racing, all the other supporting sponsors of the league. Everybody's doing a great job. It was a great race, so very happy to finish P2.
That's P2, Joey Tebben. That's Steve Loving.
It is indeed P2, Steve Loving. We got one more driver to talk to really quick. Patrick Cowgill is here with us. Patrick, all of the championship leaders ended up in chaos and drama today. You come out with a P3. Is this the start of the second half of your season going far better than the first?
I think I actually finished P4. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it was P4.
But I'm definitely happy with P4 considering I was coming in tonight feeling like I didn't really want to race tonight and I was going to get wrecked out. I was taking bets to see when I would get taken out.
Well, we hope you don't get taken out next week as well. Hopefully this is the turnaround for the Patrick Cowgill season, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Patrick Cowgill, number 31. And that's about it for our drivers here in the Truck Series. We got to get ready for the next race of the season, which comes up in next week's time. And we got to get ready before that, actually, for the PRL NASCAR Xfinity Series, live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A very interesting combination here. It's not the road course anymore. It is the oval here in the off-season in the PRL. We're trying something new, but it's something old as well.
I guess all we need is something borrowed and something blue, right?
Potentially something blue, maybe. I don't know what's blue after this, but Rockingham coming up next. You're gonna have some blue hands after Rockingham with the knuckling of the wheel. That's gonna be a tough race for all these drivers. Atlanta, I'm not sure if that's old Lanta or plate Lanta. We'll have to figure that out in next week's time. And then once again, it is old? Okay, good. So we sync up with the NASCAR season after that with Daytona and Auto Club. Looks very familiar to the Truck Series schedule, and it is very similar in those dying weeks. But in the championship, it doesn't look familiar to past PRL NASCAR seasons because it's a driver who's taken on PRL NASCAR for the first time. Sean Campbell, after 2 weeks in a row, he finds himself in the lead of the championship in another discipline. Elliott White, though, he's led the championship for the past couple of weeks. He's a greedy little guy. He's fighting for the championship in both this series and the GT3 Sprint Series, succeeding in both of them. Abner Acosta sits third. He's going to compete for another Wednesday night championship with Danny Cervantes, Bradley Holly, Jeff Evans, and Michael Diaz, the top 7. Thomas Sink ended up out of the park at Monza last week. He still hangs on to the top 8 in the championship. Adam Zemke, P9, and Mark Kalin up into the top 10 in the championship. Good for him after some troubled times in the past couple of seasons. The team's championship is somewhat interesting. Precision Racing Esports with Diaz and Acosta and White. They've been kind of dominant this season, but it is only a 26-point gap back to Whataback Overdrive. That is definitely make-upable, which is a word. The second Whataback team sits behind. Car Ramrod and Whataback Front Row are going to fight over P5 with private label Team Hype. Riding Shotgun Motorsports sits 7th and 9th. OGR Racing is in the middle of that sandwich. And Precision Racing Esports, their secondary squad with Olivier and Gonsalves in the gang. They got a little bit of progress to make down there in P10. But qualifying currently underway at Indianapolis here, Terry, and it is a whole new ballgame. We haven't come here in many seasons. I'm sure some drivers do have experience running here, but you've got to get reacclimated to an oval and a place where we're even going to the road course for the past 3 seasons.
It's really, really, really sketchy. I did a 20-lap run here, and I was on edge for 20 consecutive laps. I was honestly terrified to send it into 1. This is not like a different style of racing that happens, but a little bit more sketchy in these Xfinity cars than other cars that race here in certain parts of the year.
So while we do wait for drivers to get on track here in qualifying in the Xfinity Series, I'm going to talk to Alan Dice really quick, because with the shuffling of the results, there was some slight confusion. Patrick Cowgill did indeed finish 4th. It was Alan Dice who finished 3rd, and that's 2 top 3s in a row for you, Alan.
Yep, absolutely. It was a good race overall. Really happy with the result. We got a 3rd place and a 5th place, so worked out well.
And you're definitely the best championship contender coming at it tonight, because all of your rivals ended up either in accidents of their own or their strategies didn't work. There's 4 rounds to go, and you're going to be in championship contention for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully it works out. Hated it for Dallas Sullivan. We got kind of all pitted together. Those 3 teammates we pitted kind of early, just to kind of jump ahead of it a little bit instead of any mess. And then that wreck happened, and everybody pitted. We kind of shuffled out toward the front, but then on the restart, he got shuffled out on the high side. So, stinks for him, but overall, good result. Hopefully, we can keep it going over the next few weeks.
Congrats to Alan Dice on the top 3 here. Got everything squared away there, and we are at a rectangle now. At Indianapolis, we ride through the yard of bricks. Qualifying basically coming to an end here with about 30 seconds to go, but some drivers still getting every last little bit of experience here. Some drivers were complaining before the race came down. They couldn't figure out turn 4. It's technically the same corner all the way around here, but every single one of them drives very different. Michael Diaz, though, a road course ace in the PRL. He's driving this place like a road course. He sits P3.
Yeah, this is, while everything looks the same, it's very different. Carrying more speed into 1 and into 3 than you carry into 2 and into 4. So by the time you get back to the yard of bricks, well, you just had yourself a whale of a lap. And then not every lap is the same, just like every corner feels different. You could be loose 1 corner, tight 1 corner. Well, you put all 4 of these rectangular corners together, you might just win at the Brickyard.
Abner Acosta on pole for the 51st time in the PRL. He's certainly figured out Indianapolis, but he starts alongside Bradley Holly, who hasn't had the best season in the world. He still wants to keep up his Wednesday night streak of winning a race in every single season. Could Indianapolis be the place where he keeps that alive? Michael Diaz, great qualifying for him in 3rd. He starts alongside Thomas Sink, another great qualifying for him as well. Jeff Hollingsworth sits P5 alongside a new name to the series, making his debut this week. Jacob Fifield puts it in the top 6 on debut. 7th place went to Elliott White. Daniel Knight starts alongside him. Colton Lane, P9, alongside Doug Evans in a snazzy new livery. Slightly less green, going to be more difficult to identify. His son Jeff sits behind him at 11th, and Sean Campbell, P12, not where you'd expect to see him, our championship leader. Bad luck for him. James O'Brien starts unlucky 13th after winning in the Cup Series on Sunday. His teammate Brandon Walter makes up row 7 with him. Adam Zemke and Mark Kalin, 9th and 10th in the championship, 15th and 16th on the grid. Jose the Funky Colt Medina and Ryan Traver make up row 9. 19th place in qualifying went to Jim Westerfield. Stacy Hunter, P20. We got a correction from Nick Hunter saying that he's 52, not 53. So that's a correction from his birthday last week. James Dewar, P21. Scotty Healy disallowed from qualifying after bringing out a caution last week. Danny Cervantes and Charles Sumner were allowed to qualify, but very interestingly, did not qualify. Nicholas Hunter as well elects not to qualify at Indianapolis. And Bryce Meddings makes it a 26-car field here at Indianapolis tonight. We saw a couple new signups. No Liam Sheen in the field. He's signed up. We might see him in the coming weeks. And a few other missing drivers. Dominic Olivier, Jeremy Gonsalves. 26 cars in Indianapolis, and it's 2 old rivals up front.
This is the type of racetrack that's going to suit these two. Tire saving, raw speed, and a lot of skill. All of that combined together makes your front row. Your second row, your third row. But this track presents a challenge that most other tracks cannot present to you. It's like Pocono, but better because you have a lot of speed carried into the corners. The tire wear is absolutely off the charts. I mean, like I said, 20 laps around here, I was sketched out in this car for 20 consecutive laps. And I tried to go as hard as possible to just destroy the tires as much as possible. I did that. And that's not what these drivers are going to do. They're going to still be on razor's edge, but they're going to be saving tires in the process. And for the top 2 drivers right here, they're going to have to get away and break away fast and not let anybody else put off sequence and potentially go out here and out-tire save them.
If you want to out-tire save someone, it's going to be basically impossible to do that if the race leader is Abner Acosta. The tire wizard, so good, so famously good at saving tires. He finds himself at the head of the field here at Indianapolis. His teammate in the Cup Series, Trent Dinkle, not actually in the field tonight. He's missed out on Wednesday night, but up front, his spot has been filled by Bradley Holly, who really wants to get back on top, really wants to keep his streak going. We're back on the oval in Indianapolis. Abner Acosta controls the field. It's something different and more of the same. We're green in the PRL NASCAR Xfinity Series back at Indy. Abner Acosta leads lap 1 in control here. His teammate Michael Diaz pounced early, got by Bradley Holly on the inside. It's Precision Racing Esports 1-2.
Yeah, and we'll see how aggressive people start to get here. This is a track position game. Dirty air is not your friend here. This is not Talladega. You being behind somebody does more harm to you than any other racetrack is right here. You have a tendency where you can get too wide off the corner. You carry too much speed into a corner. And if you miss the mark here, you're going in the wall off the exit. You see some side-by-side battles going on back here, but look at the move so far up P4. Up 4 spots for the 26 of Sean Campbell. And got side-by-side behind him. Oh, wall we go.
A little bit of a scrape from the newbie, Jacob Fifield. It's experience in the PRL versus a literal rookie. Jeff Evans comes out on top in that little battle, but Sean Campbell, that makes me think that his P12 qualifying was not legitimate. He might have had a sucky little run, because the second we got into race pace, he's been passing people left and right. He is up 4 spots, equal with the biggest mover in this race.
Yeah, he got really aggressive on the initial restart. He was able to take it down to the bottom. He was able to pass that outside lane. The second groove does not work here. You want to stay to that bottom. You can get a run to potentially put yourself to the outside, but you'll see this snaky-ish line you'll start to see throughout the race where drivers will get a run, snake down. The driver in the front is going to want to, kind of move the draft and not want you to get it down the front and the back straightaway. But if you're the 26 at this moment, we take a look right here at him. Be patient. Just be calm. Just don't let people get too far ahead of you. If you're able to maintain that gap and stay in the draft of Daniel Knight and Elliott White in front of you, you have the opportunity, you have the option to potentially off-sequence yourself with these race leaders to come down a lap earlier and put yourself as a net race leader.
I'm sure we're going to see Sean Campbell's cam a little bit later in the race tonight, but I don't think he's ever not been calm. I'm trying to think. Has that ever happened? That might be impossible.
Well, here would be the possible. I promise you that. You don't want to put yourself in a weird position. This is... I say this quite a bit on tracks that have this type of skill level that's required to win here. You have to put every single phase together. But this is a racy racetrack that takes a ton of skill as a racer. You can't just come in here and go, I could probably win here any chance I want. No. It takes a lot. It takes learning the tires. It takes learning what the track does throughout the heat cycles of the tires. The track temp. If you get a piece of cloud cover in turn 1 but not turn 4, well, you just drove turn 1 a whole lot different. You had a little bit more grip to send it in there. This is not the racetrack where you tiptoe here. You don't go in and full send that sucker into 1 or into 2 or into 3 or 4. No. You're going to the wall if you do. This is an unforgiving racetrack, kind of like Darlington, but on a bigger scale.
Jerome Bertiome in the GT3 Fix series, we make fun of him because every week his camera gets higher and higher and higher and makes him look littler and littler. Bradley Holly's basically the exact opposite. Every single week, he just moves lower and lower and lower. In a couple weeks' time, we're going to see the top of his head, nothing else.
Maybe he's shrinking.
It is possible.
Shrink. I'm waiting on it to happen to me. I turned 28 on Monday, so really happy that RSR is not ready. Oh! What are y'all doing back here? Mark, you're supposed to be a Kentucky fan.
Scotty Healy to the inside of Mark Kalin. Kalin falls to him. Adam Zemke on the attack on Kalin as well. Mark Kalin has been... I don't understand Mark Kalin this season because he's been far better. He's had far better luck. He hasn't been getting involved in as many accidents because of that good luck. But in the past, we've seen Mark Kalin kind of destroy his tires, fall back early. This season, he's been kind of doing the exact opposite. He's been more conservative. He's been falling back more. And he has been a little bit better on tire life this season. We've seen him fire up on long runs.
Well, son, with that steering input right there, the way you saw him fighting that sucker off the corner, that ain't tire saving. That's loose. You see him down there on the bottom. That 64 got around him. Looks like he's loose off of 4.
I think I jinxed him. As soon as he got my compliments in the Cup Series race a couple of days ago, he's gone back to his old ways.
Well, I don't know if he burned him up, but I think he's just fighting a really ill-handling car. I go back to what I said a couple minutes ago. This is a racetrack that commands discipline. You respect Indianapolis. You don't just come out here and race and go, man, I raced there. No, you respect this place. You have to give it your all. And when I say give it your all, I mean like you have to give it your undivided attention to hit every corner perfect, to not destroy your tires, to not be, slow about it, but you have to be aggressively passive. You just be like, hey, let's go on a date maybe. I'll take you to dinner. We'll go to McDonald's. You don't just take it to a 5-course meal on the first date because, well, you're going to hit the wall.
I like that phrase, aggressively passive. Actually, I don't like that phrase, aggressively passive. I like passive aggression. Ugh.
Yeah, well, you got to be different here. This is just the slide off the corner. I mean, we're only 8 laps into this race, and you're already seeing the tires really start to play a factor. While they've only lost 0.8 of a second off of their fastest lap, I promise you the tire life it grates like a cheese grater. I've got my tire back here behind me. I'm wearing basketball shorts and a rowdy shirt. I'm not too sure if the camera thing goes. But the tires just eat here, and they eat from the outside in. You're going to heat these tires up a ton, and they're going to become like a sticky substance that just slides the back end all the way through. You try to roll more speed through the corners, and you just see that off the exit where you just try to carry all that momentum. Well, that back end starts to slide, and eventually we're going to see somebody wreck it off of 4.
I hope we get a Ted Kravitz mozzarella from you in the future.
I'm not great in my Jimmy Johnson tire.
And they might be Barada at this point because it is very, very hot. Things are getting very, very creamy under these cars in these tires. But Scotty Healy, he's been one of our movers. He's one of the few drivers on track right now who's actually making progress through the field as everything's kind of stratified in the first 8 minutes of this race, as things frequently do on the Indy Oval in this series. Scotty Healy's been making moves. We saw him pass Mark Kalin. We saw him pass Brandon Walter. He's up into unlucky 13th, but he's still moving.
Yeah, looking at his lap time, 55.1, you're going to notice a big trend where some of the drivers that are back in the pack, about 9th on back where I start seeing the 55s pop up, that's not indicative of what they're running. They're having to back up just a little bit here. You're not necessarily going to run through the driver in front of you, so you might not be faster because, well, there's only certain places you're making a pass. I mean, if they get out of the groove, you'll make a pass coming out of the corner or going into one, but you're more than likely just going to make the pass on the straights. Get a run down the front and the back straight, take it into the corner, have that opportunity. You're not just going to necessarily send it into the bottom. You see right here, James O'Brien missed the corner a little bit, but made Scott Healy back it up just a tad bit. Now you're going to get this run here. He's not going to get the momentum because off of 2, he just did not have it. Into 3, he won't have it. Potentially, if he gets a good run out of 3, by the time you exit 4, you have that option.
Mark Kalin and Brandon Walter, they've been side by side for the entirety of this lap. They're not giving up, but now they're forced to because Mark Kalin rides the apron, basically, rides the inside curb. That'll kill you in some other cars, but these Xfinity cars are planted enough that Mark Kalin could make that work. He's up into P14, but Brandon Walter off turn 4, he's going to try and fight back. And further ahead, Scotty Healy peeks to the inside, has to back out of it. Brandon Walter can actually go for this, though.
Yeah, he's going to make it. Walter's going to make it work because he got a better 4 than Mark Kalin did. Mark's very loose off the exit. That hurts quite a bit. Oh, what a camera shot. Oh, whoever built this pack, man. That's the action shot. Kalin, hold on to her there. Everybody's about to pass him on the inside. That was an awful exit of 2.
Yeah, sometimes we talk about the outside of 2 being effective. I think Mark Kalin was outside the outside there.
Yeah, he was 2 trailer park girls went right the outside there. It's Scotty Healy's going to make the pass on James O'Brien for the 11th place position, but you have to be careful if you're that 64. You're making moves, but what are you doing to your tires to make those moves? Are you being too aggressive? Are you heating that right front up? Are you loose now? Are you going to be a whole lot tighter later? Are you tight now, potentially hoping to get loose later?
And if you're making movies, you might end up in dire straits a little bit later. Sean Campbell goes for the move on Daniel Knight. His progress forward continues. Of course, Abner Acosta is the tire wizard. Michael Diaz, his road course experience, really helping him out here, as this is probably the most road coursey oval outside of the short tracks and Pocono. Sean Campbell as well, a road course ace, competed in the 24 Hours of Daytona for Chit Chat Racing in the top split a couple of weeks ago. Won, we ran Spa here a couple of weeks ago in the Xfinity Series, has won so many races in the PRL on the road courses. It's working for him here as well, but he is under pressure from Daniel Knight. He almost slid up into him through 3.
Yes, this is a bit hairy right here. You see him off before. Gets no run. You see the break the draft there. Colt Lane's going to try to get there and follow Campbell all the way through. He'll get side by side into 1. This is just a racetrack for people who have it. And right now, I mean, you're seeing the top 3 in this series, minus Sean Campbell at the moment. Well, here they're pulling away quite a bit. I mean, Abner's still laying down some laps. I mean, he's at 55.5. He's about a 10th faster. It's a 2/10 faster in this field.
Things have kind of fallen apart for Jacob Fifield, unfortunately, and his debut in the PRL, so impressive. P6 in qualifying. He has fallen all the way down to 18th, 12 spots down for Fifield. There's been some ups and downs. I think that's the biggest down, unfortunately.
Yeah, qualifying with 1 car on the track, you'll find a little bit of speed. Put 24 cars on the track, you learn quite a bit. And you see this battle going on back here. 17, a Knight, Lane, and Evans all fighting for 8th. Back all the way. Is there different colors for Jeff Evans? Is that a white machine now?
Both him and Doug with the Miracle Flow entries, they've switched it up. I think Jeff told us that There was a previous paint scheme this season that was inspired by the Miracle Flow owner's yacht or another company owner's yacht. I don't remember whose yacht it was. It was yacht inspired though. And now he's in sort of a creamy white entry with those pink highlights. Makes it far more difficult to identify him. And Doug Evans is in the black with green highlights. It's the second half of the season. Might as well shake it up, like the cars said.
I do enjoy, I guess, that the shampoo's great. I used it this morning. Oh!
Sean Campbell still getting aggressive on Jeff Hollingsworth.
Made it work. I mean, do it. If you can make it work, do it. You're late enough in the run. You're 15 laps in where you haven't seen a caution. Tires have fell off about 2 seconds. We're starting to touch the 56-second lap bracket. Pit stops at some point. I mean, they're eating them. I mean, they're eating them like little mini candy, like the Pez dispenser at this moment. Potentially a two-stop race for tires.
Thomas Sink and Elliott White side by side a little bit further ahead. Two drivers, well, one driver potentially fighting for the championship. Thomas Sink trying to fight into the championship fight. Sink's falling. Elliott White's looking forward. He sees his two Precision Racing Esports teammates further ahead, and Elliott White does make the move. I was mentioning the road course prowess of Michael Diaz, the road course prowess of Sean Campbell. I have to mention the road course prowess of Elliott White as well. So many wins on the road side in the PRL, fighting for the GT3 Sprint Championship this very season. He's sick right now, though. At Long Beach yesterday, his teammate Nick McLaughlin told me that he's down with some sort of illness. It might be COVID, it might be something. He didn't know why he even signed up for the race last night, but he seems to be right back in racing shape tonight. He's fine.
So if he wins this, is this like comparison to Jordan's flu game?
Maybe.
Patrick Mahomes won ankle game. John Cena's WrestleMania match when he was sick, or The Rock's torn pectoral muscle when he fought at WrestleMania against John Cena. There's potential here to make this a good storyline, but our eNASCAR College Series competitor, Elliott White.
That as well.
I'll throw that out there on the title form, which you could always watch the eNASCAR College Series on iRacing every other Tuesday night. Could potentially come up here and spoil the party for his two teammates up front.
This tends to be what happens at Indianapolis in this package. Things do get very, very separated out. It does race a little bit like a road course, as there are some drivers who have been far better at tire saving. Unfortunately for the rest of the field, the driver who's been the best at saving the tires sits up front. He continues to extend his lead. It's very rare that you see a 2-second lead on Wednesday nights in the PRL outside of a road course, but Abner Acosta is running away.
Fastest driver in the field, though. We were just looking at the pink machine, the Pepto-Bismol colors, and that 27 Elliott White. I mean, last time by, and we'll get new timing when they come across, but it was a 55.8. Abner this time by put a 56.0, and Elliott White, when he clocks in a 10th faster at a 55.9. I'm not saying it's possible, but I'm saying there's a chance.
If he's only a 10th a lap faster, though, he would need approximately 45 laps to catch Abner Acosta. So he's got to start taking bigger bites.
Listen, it's not like eating a potted meat sandwich. You don't go for the jugular on the initial jump. I like to eat it slow, steady, methodical, so I can savor every piece of the salty meat in a can, or Doritos or cheese puffs. You know, slow and steady wins the race, Joey.
I mean, that is fitting, though. You said it was Pepto-Bismol pink. I don't think it is. I think it is potted meat pink, the paint scheme of Elliott White.
Really just sit there and analyze potted meat, but hey, there's a pass happening right here. Old Sean Campbell going after old Thomas Sink.
Sean Campbell trying to put Thomas Sink in the pot to the inside of turn 1. Sink still trying to make the outside work. Doesn't work for him. He's fallen off, and Sean Campbell is shamoving. The Nicolas Cage sponsored paint scheme, the Nicolas Cage inspired paint scheme, the Nicolas Cage dominated paint scheme. Sean Campbell brings it up into the top 5. He'll find his road course buddies a little bit further ahead soon.
Is it surprising? I mean, I'm sure people are watching or shouldn't be surprised. There's a reason that Juan Pablo Montoya is so good here in all disciplines of racing. I mean, regardless of the car you put him in, in Indianapolis. Phenomenal. There's a reason that guys like Tony Stewart were fantastic here. Elio Castroneves is wonderful here. You have that mindset about you that you understand this racetrack. I think pit stops are coming. Obviously, with the lap times that they're putting 2 seconds, slower, that you would start to see them maybe pit for tires that one extra time. But these drivers are a whole lot smarter than I am, and you could potentially see these drivers go one stop on them.
Elliott White has caught Bradley Holly now. That battle for third is heating up. Bradley Holly qualified on the outside of the front row. I'm sure he was thinking, is this the week that things finally turn around for me? Is this the week I can keep the streak alive? It's not gone so well here. He still sits third. Still going to be a good result for him in the championship. But right now, unless Bradley Holly wins the championship at the end of the season, I don't think he's happy with that. He wants that win. He wants to keep the streak going. He probably wouldn't tell us that, but I think he's definitely thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, every week we come into these races and we think.
Oh, but there goes Elliott White dumping him out of the top four. While we were talking about that, Elliott White just gets to the inside. Holly can't fight back. It's just like his teammate Thomas Sink. The tires have fallen off. White is just so much quicker. He's the fastest driver on track. Holly's doing a good job of fighting on the outside, but we know it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, it is that he's going to get past here. You're going to see he's going to try to sway it all the way down, get the side draft down the back, try to take it to 3, but Elliott's going to clear him on the entry potentially. No, Brad stays with him. He starts to bobble just a tad bit. Stays with him, gets loose. Hang on to her, Brad. He's clear. So eventually happens. But like I said, I think we come into these races every week and we think, is this the week that Bradley Holly takes it? And unfortunately, it hasn't been the case. His pit stops in the back. Almost.
Oh! Scotty Healy goes for the dummy.
That faked us out. I about jumped up for a second. He's entering that pretty quick.
With these long green flag runs, we've had quite a few of these this season. It's a good thing about the quality of drivers in this series that we've been able to have these long green flag runs. We've been able to talk tire strategy, and now it's about time to start talking about the undercut. When you have gaps that are like 6 seconds to the leader, when you have such separation in the field, you've got to start thinking undercut-wise. How do I make track position? Because I'm certainly not making up 2 seconds to Abner Acosta, 3 seconds to Abner Acosta on track.
Can you indulge me for a second and let me sound as backwoods south as possible?
Yes.
I don't reckon undercut is going to work. I don't see it. I just don't. If you look at the tire fall off across the board, I'm telling you, this has always been my favorite part of broadcasting, is actually watching the telemetry and watching the data that we're able to see from our end, and that people at home can watch, and actually analyzing it throughout every race that we call. If you look at here, we're losing 2.2 seconds is what we're losing. If we're looking at Abner Acosta's time from a 54 flat to a 56.2 that he just ran that last time. If you put that into account, that's over 23 laps that he's turned. Half the cut of the race, if you do it, that 2 extra laps, Abner's still going to stay on the racetrack. Yes, he's going to lose a couple seconds to you. He'll lose 2 or 3 seconds eventually. He might lose 6 if he stays out 3 laps. But over time, he's going to beat you by those 2 seconds again. And then he's going to pass you, and you're going to be in a whole different world of hurt because the track rubber's in. You get a different type of weather. The temperatures start to pick up. The track gets slicker. And then you could potentially have caution right here that throws all of our strategy out the window.
We got a whole pack formed up here. Colton Lane, Daniel Knight, Scotty Healy, Hollingsworth, and Jeff Evans. A lot of Whataback drivers, couple non-Whataback drivers, and an absolute hornet's nest. Daniel Knight hits the wall down the back straight. A lot of drivers have been struggling a little bit with their depth perception. We've been scraping a lot of right side paint off of these cars, and Lane and Knight still side by side into turn 3. Oh, and we've lost Colton Lane. And he's back.
There he is. This is where it can get tricky. He starts to lose a little John Cena action. Right here, old tires. 24 laps in, battle for 7. Oh, hang on to her. They're going to wreck
Lane. Going full drift mode. I was worried there because last night Boris Ovando won the PRL GT3 Sprint Series race only because race leader Karl Modoff got disconnected on the very final lap and lost the win because of that. So we're having a couple of flashbacks here. Colton Lane is okay, though. Daniel Knight, he's not okay. He gets in the wall off of turn 1.
Yeah, this is... you can take the air off these cars pretty easily here. You already have a lighter back end with the fuel already being low. Your tires are starting to scream. You know, it's not necessarily the funnest thing in the world as Sean Campbell jumps up to 4th. He gets past Bradley Holly. You're gonna have eventually somebody potentially spin off the exit of one of these corners. If they catch the barrier, like we just saw with Scotty Healy there, when he almost went into the pit wall, that could be the deciding factor. And I think that might be what a lot of these drivers are not wanting to do the undercut for, because then you're kind of put in a box of, well, I ain't pitting now. And that extra lap is, oh, there goes pitting.
Colton Lane down the lane. Mark Kalin, Nicholas Hunter, Ryan Traver, and a few others coming in here. The pit cycle has kicked off. We're about halfway in the race. And Colton Lane, he wants to get out of trouble there. He was already sliding around. Those tires are dead. He's one of the first drivers to come in. Some of his Whataback teammates following him in.
I think they're going to gain a little time, but they're going to give a ton back. I mean, whatever you have, because Abner's coming to lap them now. By the time they get off the access road, you can't necessarily push too hard here. So if you don't push as hard because you don't want to lose control and spin it on the racetrack, with cold tires, the least amount of traction you're going to get is right here on that access road. So if you're one of those drivers that just came out, you need to run qualifying laps for the first lap. Like, you need to come out and just pedal to the metal and just run it as hard as you can, and then back it down. Don't back it down too much, but save what you can while still gaining time. And that's easier said than done from a key on my mouse, but don't be aggressively crazy with the strategy when it comes to burning your tires up.
Latest batch drivers to come down: Jeff Evans, Doug Evans, Daniel Knight, Adam Zemke, a whole gang. But we're about to see a scientific demonstration here with Mark Kalin and Abner Acosta. New tires versus old tires. There's a big difference. But here comes Bradley Holly from P5. Thomas Sink is going to follow him in. The pit cycle has well and truly begun. Bradley Holly's going for the first real undercut from any of the drivers in the lead pack.
I think I disagree with you on that one. I think the first real undercut would be 3rd. 8 seconds back. Yeah, he'll make up 2 seconds, potentially. And that's if Abner pits now. If Abner doesn't pit, he makes up 4, and you keep the math going, and 2, 6, 8, whatever. Who do we appreciate? Tire saving. We'll see if Abner pits here. I don't think he'll stay out. And if he does, I think he is waiting on Diaz to pit, or he's potentially waiting on Elliott White to come down. He's not going to pit this time. We'll see if Diaz or White does. Diaz comes in, White comes in. Next time by, Abner has to come in.
Campbell's in as well, but here's Bradley Holly coming out of turn 4. Normal stop for him, 14.5 seconds. Compare that with some of the other drivers. Maybe there's been some fuel saving going on in the field. I can't imagine there's been very much. Bradley Holly rejoins the fray, though. Scotty Healy takes 2nd for the moment. He's still waiting to come in. Brandon Walters in. Jose the Funky Cole Medina's in. It is slim pickings for drivers who have yet to come in. Diaz, is he going to make his box? He does. Elliott White does as well. These guys are going to hope that they can force Abner Acosta into some sort of mistake, because they need to bring down that 5-second gap.
Let's take a look back here. Bradley Holly sitting in 10th, 43 seconds behind the race leader. Go all the way back to Mark Kalin, 50 seconds.
Did Elliott White just beat Michael Diaz off pit road? No, it was almost a photo finish at the line, but Michael Diaz does win the race off pit road. Elliott White's trying to beat him. He clips the grass. He's got to be careful not to get an unsafe pit exit. Sean Campbell knows how to do that. He goes up onto the road, but Elliott White getting aggressive on pit exit on his teammate.
And look who just passed them, Bradley Holly. So he did get him quite a bit as Elliott White's going to pass Diaz there. More aggressive off the exit of pit road, was able to get it, but that cluster now becomes a bigger cluster. Elliott White and Michael Diaz did not have much of a fight going on around him. As Colton Lane looking for the jump, not going to work. There's Abner on pit road. We'll see what these cold tires do for these drivers, because a lot of them, it took a minute for them to get everything warmed up, ready to go.
Here comes Abner Acosta. Has Bradley Holly made the undercut work? He's just crossing the line now. I think Abner should still come out with the race lead here. It might be somewhat competitive on cold tires down the back straight as Abner pinches it on the run, or on the warm-up lane, or the pit exit lane, whatever you want to call it. Abner Acosta is going to maintain control of the race. Holly's coming. I don't think he's coming quick enough, though.
I think Bradley, he tightened his back really, really, really quick. Yeah, no. Now it's bye-bye time. I mean, it was a 2-lap difference of a stint, but this was closer than what we thought.
Campbell and Diaz, two drivers who have been known to be aggressive at times. Michael Diaz on the road courses. Sean Campbell has shown an aggressive side on the ovals, not leaving each other a singular inch. Sean Campbell does win out at the end there. But Michael Diaz, he gave Sean Campbell a squeeze in the way that Sean Campbell's been squeezing everybody else.
Payback is something, huh? Over the season, you're going to start to race people just a little different. It's the same thing in the official series. There's times I'll jump in a session and somebody's raced me crazy all week long, and I'll catch them on the last day of the week when they're fighting for something this meaningful, and I'll race them the same way they race me, whether they're putting me a lap down or I'm putting them a lap down or passing them for position. All right, you race me crazy all week long, we'll race the same way. And it becomes a mutual respect across the board with everybody on the iRacing platform. You don't wreck them. Wait, what's going on? Is that Michael? Who's that pitting there?
That is Michael Diaz coming in, as Michael Diaz gotten a speeding penalty or something to that effect. Michael Diaz pits at a fifth place rather. Is it going to be a drive-through or is it going to be a stop? Waiting for him to reach his box. He was very high in qualifying, so you got to wait quite a while. He is coming in to stop. It's a stop and go for Michael Diaz potentially.
Wow. Shades of Juan Pablo Montoya. Multiple years in a row, not just 1 year, multiple years in a row, where a fast race car not potentially getting a win. It looks like still on pit road in the pit box, 21 seconds. Looks like it might be a stop and hold. What would cause that here?
A 30-second stop and hold. There's 3 penalties that I'm thinking of. You're either speeding on entry, an unsafe pit exit, or an unsafe pit entry somehow. I don't know which one of those specifically gives you that penalty, but Michael Diaz has been in the box for longer than that penalty. It's 43 seconds now. What has happened to Michael Diaz?
Mystery we might have to call Scooby-Doo on. Still there. But you see this stretch out we have here. We got Sean Campbell sitting fourth, Elliott White sitting there, Thomas Sinks in this top 5 now. Look at Mark Kalin back there in 8. It's a potential. I see us going caution-free. I don't want to jinx it, but we're spread out enough that the lap-wise that we would put on the tires wouldn't go as much as we saw in that first stint. But this is really interesting because now I believe Diaz is
dead last.
Track. Dead last, but he's back on track. We would need 2 cautions.
It was an absolute mystery. 55 seconds in the box. So either he got 2 penalties somehow, or he's done some other form of an oopsie, because he wasn't the driver who was getting into trouble on pit exit. That was Elliott White who got a little bit out of shape, who almost got himself an unsafe pit exit. I'm absolutely dumbfounded what that could be for Michael Diaz. Hopefully we hear from a member of the PRE team at the end of the race and they can tell us what happened. But for now, still some scores to be settled here. Scotty Healy, we saw him turn it up a little bit later on in the run, turn it up early in the run as well. He's found his old buddy Daniel Knight for the last spot in the top 10, and Jeff Hollingsworth.
Did the damage on the 17 mean something? A little bit that he was scraping the wall there. Caught the wall a couple times. Is that going to come back to bite him? Is that going to take the air off the spoiler? Is that going to keep the balance of the car changed? You see the looseness there off the 4. You see the looseness off the 2. Is he going to be able to maintain the speed that he's had consistently throughout this race and potentially hold up here and stay in this top 10? Or is Jeff Hollingsworth going to come up here and be a key player by the end of this? I mean, we've got 17 minutes to go, and, well, there's a lot of racing left.
Scotty Healy and Mark Kalin. Scott trying to use the little bit of draft you can to get to the inside of Kalin. Hollingsworth doing the same thing on Daniel Knight. 2x2 down the back straight. Healy into turn 3. Hollingsworth into turn 3. Healy's won that battle. Hollingsworth is not having such an easy time.
He's going to fight just a little bit harder. If you're Jeff Hollingsworth, you'll potentially get it right here in the corner. Clear. So coming off 4 clears that Kalin catches the wall. That was a pretty decent lick. It'll slow him down. This is such a momentum racetrack. If you don't get a good exit coming to the straights, it's a bad time, because it takes up until you get out of turn 1 and get that forward momentum off of this corner to set yourself in this small little straight here, the little short chute going into 2 to get a good run for the backstretch. You see the gap right here. A little bit of a miss in the corner. He's already under attack, getting attacked there by Jeff Hollingsworth, and lost a ton of time to the 64.
Jeff Hollingsworth for Henry Repeating Arms, the sponsor on that car, repeating his move. Mark Kalin backs out of that one a little bit easier for one of the related drivers in the series. Bradley Holly tuned back into his struggles here. Of course, he's on the oldest tires of anybody in the top 5 right now. And Elliott White and Sean Campbell, they've reached him again. They've caught him again.
By a lap, Elliott White and Sean Campbell have gotten him by at the moment, but that lap makes a ton of difference. It was a 55.236 for Bradley Holly, with a 54.994 and a 54.867 for third and fourth of Elliott White and Sean Campbell. A lot can be said about what that one lap meant, but if you look up there at the race leader, he's 2 laps advantage on Bradley Holly and 1 lap on third and fourth. We'll see how that plays, but it's right now a tune of 3.6 seconds holds this race lead as Elliott White's looking to the inside.
He's peaking, he gets back in line. Needs a little bit more momentum than that. We've seen so much dust kicked up into turn 1, into turn 3 as well. Just using absolutely every inch of this track. It almost looks like Long Beach last night, just using every single inch, just barely touching the walls. But Elliott White knows the limits here. He's done hundreds of laps around Indianapolis, maybe even thousands over the course of his oval racing career. And off of turn 2, he's finally got to the inside of Bradley Holly. He finally gets a shot into turn 3.
What was helping Bradley down the front stretches, he was catching a little draft off the lap car in front of him. So that was giving him a chance to catch the draft. They almost touched there off the exit of 2. Going into 3, we'll see some side-by-side action still. Wow. This is... is Sean Campbell going to go 3 wide?
Of course he is. Of course Sean Campbell's going to go 3 wide. Elliott White, Sean Campbell, and Bradley Holly 3 wide into turn 1. Is this going to work? Yes, it is, because Elliott White backed out of it. But Sean Campbell going for the ultimate aggression, and he's going to get P2 for his efforts.
If Elliott White would not have backed out of that, we would have seen a massive pileup into the corner. And my correction, my apology, they were going into 4. They all looked the same. I missed part of the corner where we were sitting at there for a second. But that was an interesting move. Aggression paid off for the 26. Shockingly enough, as now the battle for third it seems to be over for the moment as Elliott White gets past Bradley Holly. But to your point of using all the track at Long Beach, that was one thing that Sean Campbell taught me, and you taught me as well, is use every single part of that racetrack and road courses in general. Use everything that's given to you. Push the limits to use it to get more speed into the corner and to maximize your braking zone and your turn in so you get a better drive off. And it's paying off here. You see the road specialists up here, all 3 very good on road courses, being very good at the oval.
I was debating not correcting you to see if Brad would get mad and tell you off, but it's 4 road specialists in the top 3. Abner Acosta, Sean Campbell, and Elliott White, of course, more traditional from a road course background, but Bradley Holly, after all of his oval success in the PRL, he got 17 wins in the MX5 Cup Series over the past couple seasons, so he's definitely a strong driver in his own right on the road side.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you corrected me on that, Brad. We normally jump in the Discord with a lot of them at the end of the night and talk over the race, just to get. I try to get the driver's perspective at the end of the night. This changes everything. It's
Bradley Holly, right as we mentioned him.
Oh. Oh, I love the camera shots that we have in this league.
That is a destroyed number 184. Bradley Holly brings out the caution with 12 minutes to go, and suddenly a race that was led by 4 seconds by Abner, and it was James Dewar.
Oh,
it was the lapped car. It was not a lone incident for Bradley Holly. How did James Dewar get involved? Did Brad drive into him? Let's see here. Off of 4. Oh
no.
He hits the Oliver Askew wall for good measure.
Wow. That was the car that was helping him down the front stretch. Oh, just got to stay on the wall there.
There's definitely a little bit of latency there that didn't help, so I'm not gonna be too critical of James Dewar there, but
James,
trouble.
James, it's not a fault. It's hard to explain because I'm not going to use the words, but an inch goes a long way in that situation. Or maybe backing out of it at that moment. I mean, you can't put the blame on either one of them. It goes, you're coming off the corner. If you're already that high, just, back out just a tad bit. Let the 3 cars go below you. And the exit right there is so tight that it kind of makes way for a lot of the issues that happen there.
So suddenly, a race that looked a little bit like an endurance race, looked a little bit like a road course race, becomes a very short sprint to the finish. And Sean Campbell, who's moved his way up into second, who made that move 3 wide into turn 1, the most aggressive driver in this race tonight, Abner Acosta suddenly has some far bigger competition in his mirrors.
I couldn't agree with you more. Normally we're not in agreement on certain things. How aggressive does Sean Campbell get? We're going to have under 8 minutes to go in this race. Do you take the air off the rear of the car? Do you drive it in deeper into 1? Do you drive it deeper into 3 or 4? Do you make the challenge on the outside to keep Abner Acosta from potentially getting back on the gas sooner? Do you make him check up? You can make him tight in this situation. Wow, that was a quick pit stop for Sean Campbell. Did he?
It's Sean Campbell. Tires? He took 2 tires, I think. And Elliott White beats Abner Acosta off the line, too. So Abner Acosta has had a hellish pit cycle here. Sean Campbell, who took 2 tires or 0 tires, takes the lead. Elliott White beats his teammate off as well. 1.2 seconds left or less in the box. Abner Acosta suddenly finds himself on offense.
Did Sean Campbell watch the Talladega strategy? Because this seems an awful lot like what we saw Kyle pull over there in that 07. Cautions breed cautions. And here at the Brickyard, there's an opportunity that turn 1 might not be the friendliest place to be because a lot of these drivers have not necessarily been racing around other competitors. We've seen spread out racing. Now it's go time. Now all the chips are on the table. You have a chance to win this. If you're in the top 5, you got a chance to win this race. If you're not in the top 5, you want to be in the top 5 if a caution comes out. Somebody's going to send it to 1.
I just sent Sean Campbell a mid-race Discord message to get him in the interview channel. Hopefully he reads it. We are under caution, so he's done more distracted things under racing conditions. So hopefully we get to talk to him in a second and ask him what the heck he's thinking.
I think we attempted to distract him a couple weeks ago, right? the road race we did at Spa. I think we tried to.
We tried. We failed.
Well, I mean, our producers here, and I believe our producer, said that, we would attempt to distract as much as possible. So maybe we can attempt to figure out what his strategy plan is here.
There's been some big shakeups here. Sean Campbell, of course, the big one, finds himself in the lead of the race. Elliott White, though, has beaten his teammate by 1.4 seconds in the box. Elliott White finds himself in second. Abner Acosta third. Thomas Sink sits fourth. Scotty Healy and Jeff Evans now on row 3. They have both made some progress in the silence. Colton Lane, Jeff Hollingsworth, James O'Brien, Brandon Walter, your top 10 coming to the restart here. It looked like it was a little bit of an Abner Acosta show. It looked like it was going to be sort of a dull ending to this race. But as always, the unpredictability and the Precision Racing League always finds a way to deliver. We're going to take the restart here with about 6 or 7 laps to go. It's a short sprint. It's not an endurance race anymore. The iRacing sedan pace car pulls off onto the Indianapolis pit road. And Sean Campbell, who knows what he's thinking? He takes control of the field. It was a big jump on the restart. Elliott White manages to clear Abner Acosta as well. Sean Campbell, even if he is on 2 tires, he's pulled a little bit of a gap. But now that everything's stratified out, we start to get running again. He finds himself under pressure.
Yeah, but at least on this time under pressure, he's not going to get sued for a lot of money. Elliott White, he's going to have to hold off a very, I would imagine, upset Abner Acosta. He's had this race in the bag, but he doesn't. And now he has to get past a driver who's been faster than him. Not by a lot, but a little goes a long way here. We're going to see in the next 2 or 3 laps who's really the fastest driver in this top 3. And unfortunately for Sean Campbell, on the tires strategy, I don't think it's him. He's going to have to be really wide and defensive here.
It's 2 tires versus 4 tires. Sean has won the last 2 races in this series. He is the championship leader now. He wants to go 3 for 3. Elliott White wants to retake the championship lead, though, and for Abner Acosta, he wants to get in the championship fight more closely as well. But he's also thinking numbers right now, because if he wins tonight, he's back tied with Richard Regan Jr. for second all-time on 53 wins.
Look at what the 26 is doing here. He was able to take the air off the front nose of that 27. He got him loose, puts the 5 up to second. That's a big play that's going to happen here in this race, because if the Elliott White could have got up there and got around the 26 of Sean
Mark Kalin and Brandon Walter in the wall off of turn 4. Is that going to be a caution, and is that going to end this race? I don't think it is. Walter and Kalin end up down pit lane at Indianapolis. It's not going to be a caution. Mark Kalin trying to figure out how to get back on track. He is pointing in a straight line, though, so no caution of Mark Kalin, the second victim of turn 4.
Yeah, but now if you're this pack right here, you don't have a chance to win at this moment unless contact happens in front of you. You're a second back. Your win is probably not in the cards. Take a look at the replay. Just wrong place, wrong time for the 60 or the 62 machine. Mark Kalin. Let's see, wall. The 99 gets loose, bobbles wall, bam. It's just a bang bang play that happens. Not big. Right now, what you're hoping, if you're the top 3, Sean Campbell has to keep doing what he did to Elliott White. If you're the 27, you have that option. You still have a chance to win. You wait for the 26 and the 5 to make a little contact. It's going to happen. You're going to block. You're going to have to put something up there at him. There goes Abner.
Sean Campbell inadvertently opens the door, using the outside, though. He's going to hold the momentum. Is he going to be clear of Abner Acosta? Not quite. Going to go for the squeeze. Abner Acosta has to swerve back to the outside. Sean Campbell finds inches ahead of the front bumper of Acosta. But Acosta is throwing everything at Sean Campbell right now. Any door that opens, any hole that opens, Abner's going for it. He does everything short of pushing him through turn 3, but there's the door open again.
That was almost Rex City for the top 2. He was right there. You have to make him make a mistake. He's going to make this as wide as possible. You're going to see him come around the yard of bricks. He's going to swing it out of that inside wall, keep you from getting that lane. Oh my gosh, the drama at Indy.
It's going to be 2 laps to go at the line if my math is correct, so the opportunities for Abner Acosta are few and far between. Sean Campbell, though, he keeps opening the door off of turn 2. It's deliberate, I think. He's trying to get a better run down the back straight, but every time he does it, it opens the door for Acosta, and he's got another run.
Take it to the grass. Take it all the way to the grass and make the 26 of Sean Campbell block you to that grass. Make him use those tires up. Take the strategy. Here we go up the corner. He's got to run this time into 3.
Campbell not clear of Acosta. Acosta gets to the inside. He rides the curb side by side off of 4. Suddenly, Elliott White finds himself in contention. Could he go for the Campbell move and make this 3 wide? He's going to push his teammate, though.
Yeah, be a good teammate here. Push your teammate down. Push your teammate down. Let the 26 go down and ride that door. It's going to be your option. Oh, Abner's not having none of it. Oh, they're touching at the front.
Campbell's trying to fight back, though. He tried to go for a switchback. Elliott White was there, though, off of turn 2. Campbell's loved the high line. He ducks it back down to the low line this time. It's a good run off of 2 for Campbell. Where can he go, though? Abner's going to block all the way down to the white line, all the way down to the grass. But here comes Campbell to the outside. He's got to run again.
That was a heck of a run. Now that outside lane's not going to be your friend. He'll touch the door. He'll go all the way down here off the exit of the corner. They almost make contact. That's a big bobble. That's a big check up there.
White flag in the air for Abner Acosta. Can Sean Campbell fight back now that he's found himself on offense? Elliott White, he wants second as well, but the white flag is in the hands of Barney the flagman here. Abner Acosta, your pole sitter, was so dominant, lost the lead in the pits. Now he's got 1 more lap to hold back Sean Campbell.
I don't think Sean's going to have that run here. He's been really good off the exit of 2. 1's not been his friend, but 2 has. Can he get the run down the back straightaway to catch the draft, catch that toe to go to the bottom here for the final time down the back straightaway?
It's a better run off of 2 for Campbell, but I don't think it's better enough. He's going to get the run. He's going to throw everything at Abner Acosta. But what is Acosta going to do through 3 and 4? He's pretty comfortable right now. He can run whatever line he likes. But Sean Campbell throws it into 3. You can see the rear end getting a little bit drifty. But off of turn 4, Abner Acosta on pole for the first time this season. And it looks like he's about to get his first win of the season. Off of turn 4, Abner Acosta for the 53rd time is victorious in the PRL Xfinity Series. Was that the checkered flag? Yes, it was. Abner Acosta wins for the 53rd time. Ties Richard Regan Jr. for 53 wins. Big numbers for Abner.
That's the drive you're going to remember. There's a lot of places that you went at that just goes, yep, I won here. You checked it off the box. This is not one of those places. This is one of those places you get really excited about. I think this is the 3rd or 4th race I've ever called at this racetrack, and it never disappoints the level of competition you see. And even a battle 2 tires or no tires and 4 tires, it always puts a show on.
Scotty Healy, look at that for P3. We were so focused on Acosta and Campbell and White, throwing everything at it, that Scotty Healy finished 3rd right behind those guys. He was making up so much time. That's Scott Healy's best result of the season easily after a pretty difficult Monza.
The rebound for a lot of drivers, and Abner Acosta puts himself in that championship discussion. I know that's weird to say that a driver of his stature is having to put himself in a championship discussion. This is where champions win. These type of racetracks, these more difficult tracks, your champion could potentially be doing donuts on the front stretch.
It's Abner's 2nd win of the season. It's just an absolute dominance for Precision Racing Esports in this series this season. 1 win rather for Elliott White, 2 wins now for Abner Acosta. If I can get my numbers correct, it's been a great season for them. Sean Campbell finishes 2nd, and Elliott White rounds out the podium spots at Indianapolis. Scotty Healy, best result of the season, P4, and Thomas Sink up P5 at the end of it all. Jeff Evans quietly in P6 ahead of Jeff Hollingsworth, Colton Lane, and Adam Zemke, and then Doug Evans, qualified in the top 10, finished in the top 10 as well. 11th place at the end of it all went to Daniel Knight, fell out of the top 10. James O'Brien, P12. Jim Westerfield, Nick Hunter, and Jose the Funky Cold Medina down to P15. Jacob Fifield on debut finishes P16, and Michael Diaz, whatever happened to him in the pits, he gets P17 for all of his efforts. Stacy Hunter, Ryan Traver, and Mark Kalin bring us down to P20. I'm amazed that Mark Kalin still finished on the lead lap after that hit. Charles Sumner had a struggle today. He finishes 21st. James Dewar 2 laps down, and then we get into the used car lot. Brandon Walter 5 laps down. Bradley Holly wrecked at a second, 24th, and Danny Cervantes and Bryce Meddings never actually took to the grid, so they did not participate in tonight's racing shenanigans. And now we wait for our race winner, Abner Acosta. He always likes to soak in the limelight. I'm going to give him an extra couple of seconds, though, to walk up here to the media center. And while we wait for Abner to show up, we do have second place Sean Campbell. He's with Terry.
Sean Campbell, P2, and I want to just, the elephant in the room, your strategy was much different than everybody else's.
I mean, at the end, it was just, I went for a bold move with the just taking right side tires, which I think, I don't remember if I was in second before the caution or not. If I was, I think I would have got second anyway. But if I wasn't, then I think I did what I had to do in order to gain a spot. Either way, I think it was the decision that gave me the best chance to race for the win, which we ended up doing, and it was awesome.
Yeah, you had a really good battle with Abner there. You were able to hold him off for a little bit. You had Elliott White charging there for a tad bit. But once you kind of separated you two as who was going to be the ending dominators so far of that last little 6-lap run. What's next? What do you gonna call your shot? Maybe you winning next week?
Is next week Atlanta?
Yes.
Ooh. I don't know. I've liked super speedways, but Atlanta, I don't know if that's a super speedway in the Xfinity. No, it's the old track. Yeah. Okay. No, probably not. I like some 1.5s, but Atlanta, in these cars, I feel Atlanta's already known for being a slidey track, right? And in these cars, which are already slidey intentionally, it's going to be Formula Drift out there probably.
Random question to end this, because I feel like I have to ask you a random question. What'd you have for dinner tonight?
Chili. I made some chili.
Okay, you made it homemade?
Yeah,
right.
I made it.
All right, Sean Campbell.
I've got a chili recipe if you want it.
My DMs are always open.
I'm gonna message it to you. I'm gonna message you right now.
I appreciate your time. Congrats on P2. We'll see you in Atlanta.
All right, peace.
Get him in the Chili Bowl next season.
I hope.
Nope, I dragged. 1 second here. I dragged the wrong person out of the booth. Thomas Sink has arrived here. He finished in the top 5. We'll get to talk to him while we wait for Abner Acosta. Thomas Sink, this is a pretty tough race, almost like an endurance race with how long that first run went, but you got to be pretty happy with the top 5.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. That was a hard race. I mean, the car just was not to my liking. I don't like these cars. I am not very good. So for me to finish top 5, I'm impressed with myself tonight.
So were you happy when that last caution came out? Did you value your short run speed more than your long run speed?
No, not at all. I was kind of upset with that. I was hoping to just kind of ride it out, and I think I was running 5th. I wanted to just kind of get my top 5. My goal has always been a top 10, so getting the top 5 was kind of where I wanted to be. So when that caution came out, I was like, oh.
So 4 more weeks now. Sean Campbell is telling us that he's worried about the slidiness of Old Atlanta next week. What do you think's coming up in the next couple of weeks for you?
Yeah, Atlanta's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be similar to maybe tonight, just because of how loose the car was, just on the throttle. The last time I raced the Xfinity car at Atlanta, if I remember, we were up against the wall because it was just so free. We were just trying to get that air stuffed up against the long side of it so you can get a good run up off the corner. It was hard. It really only took, I think, 3 or 4 laps, and we were down a second. So Atlanta's going to be a big challenge. I think Daytona is going to be the typical, super speedway type racing where we just kind of pack up and try not to die, kind of like Monza, what we kind of did with Monza. Past that, I don't know what else is going on past that, but I think with the lineup we have, we should have a decent back Chevy going through the season.
All right, well, we'll see you next week. Congrats on the top 5.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Sink, top 5 once again for him, and our race winner is here fashionably late, but Abner Acosta, probably the most anxious driver in the world on that last restart.
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, that was definitely a lot harder than it should have. I did not want to see that yellow flag.
So what happened in the pits? What was the long stop?
I have no idea. Like I know during my green flag stop, I know I kind of didn't want to make any mistakes, so I know I definitely want to last lower, but I have no idea why the car took so long to come out, because I think Sean took 2, if I'm not mistaken. But Elliott came out ahead of me too, so I got no clue. Maybe the pit crew didn't want to work today. I don't know.
Elliott's paying him more, but 4 more races to go. You're fighting with your teammate. You're fighting with Sean Campbell. There's a few others who are going to be in the championship conversation. I'm going to stop short of making you predict this, but where's your strongest track? You think it's possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I just have to, not have bad weeks like last week that I ended up in the catch fence. But, it's all about staying consistent. Obviously, Elliott, Sean, there's a lot of guys that have bad days that are pretty fast. So, just staying consistent and staying alive at the end, and, we'll make it work.
Congrats on win number 53, tied second all time. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Abner Acosta, the tire wizard, victorious at Indianapolis. But I believe that's going to round us out here, Terry. It has been a very interesting night at Indianapolis and at Talladega as well. And next week, things get even more interesting as we go to Old Atlanta in the PRL NASCAR Xfinity Series. We saw a pretty great race there in the Cup Series on Sunday night. Richard Regan Jr. James O'Brien came out on top after a very long run. Some very interesting strategy. We might just see that again next week.
Be my second race call as a 28-year-old, so I will say early happy birthday to myself from the PRL. I love Atlanta. Not as much as I love the Brickyard at Indianapolis, but I love Old Atlanta. You get classics like Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt and Gordon, Harvick and Gordon. It gives you classic moments, and if there's anything we learned from the PRL, you'll always get a classic moment here on Wednesday night.
We always do get those classic moments on Wednesday nights, but we get those classic moments every single night of the week. It's not just tonight. There are Thursday night IRO 4s and F3 competition. On Sunday nights, you got the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. On Mondays, it's GR86s and GT4s. On Tuesdays, it's the GT3 doubleheader. And, of course, on Wednesdays, it's the PRL NASCAR Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. We hope you'll join us for any and all of them. I've been Joey Tebben. Terry Radford has been Terry Radford. Our producer has been Arjuna Kankapati. Till we see you next time, so long.